Chapter 51-57. Oh, it's like this. Yi Shixiang didn't dare to look at Fairy Hongxia. Instead, he lowered his head to look at the spirit tea in front of him and said, "Actually, when Xiao Mao mentioned the Kai family in front of me, my heart was moved. After all, Xiao Mao's vision is very high and I've never heard him speak well of anyone in front of me. After he recommended the Kai family, I didn't dare to believe him too much and immediately had the disciples investigate the Kai family's situation as well as Fairy's situation. From the information, I found out that the previous Kai family should have been led by Qin Yang's Kai family. The family head also came from Qin Yang. Lu Yang was considered a side branch and was basically better than nothing. After that, for some unknown reason, Lu Yang's Kai family's strength suddenly increased and faintly showed signs of surpassing Qin Yang's Kai family. After Qin Yang's Kai family found out, they seemed to want to suppress Lu Yang's Kai family. However, before they could do anything, Fairy stood out and dealt with Qin Yang's Kai family with thunderous methods, and even the other branches of the Kai family. Fairy Hongxia smiled and said, "Fellow Taoist, Yi is very meticulous. If I didn't deliberately investigate these matters, it really wouldn't be easy to find out. If I remember correctly, Fairy didn't take charge of the Kai family in the beginning. Instead, you chose an elder of Qin Yang's Kai family to do it for you." Yi Shixiang continued, "But later on, Fairy's strength increased by leaps and bounds. You actually stepped into nascent soul in a short few hundred years. After Fairy reached nascent soul, she immediately returned to Qin Yang from Huanhua sect and asked the family head at that time to pass the family head position to you. You were the family head and established Lu Yang's Kai family as the main branch." "Yes." Fairy Hongxia still had a smile on her face and said, "That day when I became a nascent soul master, the sect rewarded me. When the sect head received I took advantage of the situation and raised this request. If it was before the spiritual energy of heaven and earth changed, the sect head would definitely not agree. However, at that time, the cultivation aristocratic families were on the rise. Many disciples of the cultivation sects also held positions in the family. Among them, there was no lack of family head positions. Therefore, after some hesitation, the sect head agreed to I's request." No. Yi Shixiang shook his head slightly and said, "Fairy is wrong. This humble one isn't asking about this. What this humble one wants to ask is, when Fairy first took charge of the Kai family, were you beset with difficulties? Not only did she have to suppress the dissatisfaction of the disciples in the clan, but she also had to worry about the attention of the sect. I really don't know how the Fairy managed to survive. Even if you're pregnant, it's still difficult for you to run a family as a female cultivator." Sigh. Fairy Hongxia was deeply moved. She sighed and did not say anything more. Fairy Hongxia had always been proud and arrogant. How could she possibly let others know of her sorrow? Others might not know how much perseverance is required, how strong of a hand is required, and how brilliant of a person is required to size up the situation. Yi Shixiang continued, "But this one is very clear. It is precisely because of this that I am lazy to hide and not take on any responsibilities in the Yi clan. But after seeing Fairy's experience, I was deeply moved. If a weak woman can do it, why can't I do it? This one must follow Fairy's example and shoulder the Yi clan's present and future on my shoulders." "Haha, then congratulations, fellow Taoist Yi. Congratulations to the Yi clan." Fairy Hongxia squeezed out a smile amidst her bitterness and said, "Fellow Taoist Yi is working hard and will definitely do better than I." Actually. Yi Shixiang's voice was much softer, like a mosquito. "I have ambitions in my heart, but the Yi clan is truly too big. I'm afraid my strength will not be enough. If there is someone to help, perhaps it will be better for the Yi clan, for the Kai family." Yi Shixiang's voice became softer and softer. At first, Fairy Hongxia was still somewhat puzzled. But when she heard the end, a trace of surprise flashed through her eyes. At the same time, a wisp of red clouds blew past and landed on her cheeks like a gust of wind. She hastily opened her mouth to stop Yi Shixiang's whispering and said with a smile, "Fellow Taoist, Yi is overthinking. The Yi clan has such a great foundation. It's simply too easy to find one or two right-hand men to help you. Just like this fellow Taoist Yi Qiangyu, he alone is more than 5 people from our Kai family. Yi Shixiang thought that Fairy Hongxia didn't understand and hastily raised his voice. Fairy, what this one said? Unfortunately, before he could finish, there was a commotion outside the hall. An elderly cultivator hastily came in and bowed in front of Yi Shixiang. Young lord. Yi Shixiang was slightly angered. He frowned and said impatiently, "What's the matter?" That cultivator was clearly stunned. He didn't know why Yi Shixiang was acting like this, but he still said respectfully, "There is." At this point, that cultivator hesitated. He glanced at Fairy Hongxia at the side and stopped. If it was before, Yi Shixiang would definitely understand and leave with this cultivator. But now he almost roared. "Since you've come to report, then speak clearly." Of course, after venting his anger, Yi Shixiang immediately understood and hastily restrained himself. He smiled at Fairy Hongxia and said, "The Kai family and my Yi family have already formed an alliance. There's nothing to hide." Yes, this disciple understands. That Yi family cultivator was greatly alarmed and hastily said carefully, "Su Yenyun family's patriarch is outside the hall seeking an audience." Su Yenyun family? Yi Shixiang was even more surprised. He looked at the cultivator and asked, "Why are they here? I don't think I invited them over, right?" "It's the patriarch's idea." That cultivator glanced awkwardly at Fairy Hongxia and said softly, "He said that since we want to talk, why not talk to a few more families that we can form an alliance with? Let the Su Yenyun family's patriarch leave." Yi Shixiang waved his hand coldly and said, "I've already decided to form an alliance with Liang's Kai family. There's no need to talk to Su Yenyun family anymore." The cultivator hastily said softly, "This is the patriarch's idea." Yi Shixiang frowned and was about to berate him when Fairy Hongxia smiled and said, "Daoist Yi, the Su Yenyun family's patriarch is Yin Jichong, right? Back then, I also had some friendship with him. According to what I know, the Su Yenyun family is also an aristocratic family with roots. It's an extremely good choice for the Yi family. Since Daoist Yi has already decided to work hard for the family, then you can't not meet the Yin family." Fairy. Yi Shixiang shook his head and said, "Since I've decided to form an alliance with the Kai family, I definitely won't go back on my words. I won't meet the Yin family's patriarch. Could it be that Fairy wants me to be a fat young master who doesn't keep his words? Or perhaps Fairy doesn't want to form an alliance with my Yi family anymore?" Fairy Hongxia waved her hand and said, "Daoist Yi misunderstands. I've been sparring with Daoist Yi in Sky Patrol City for so long. Naturally, I want to form an alliance with the Yi family. Moreover, I also hope to be the first aristocratic family in country of Shi to form an alliance with the Yi family. But the first and second don't have any conflicts? Daoist Yi can always form a second alliance with the Yin family." "Io, isn't that so?" Yi Shixiang slapped his forehead and exclaimed with a look of enlightenment. "Isn't that so? The patriarch didn't say that I can only choose one. If I feel that the Yin family I can form an alliance with the Yin family. At that time, the Yin family, Yi family, and Kai family can also form an alliance." As he spoke, Yi Shixiang bowed exaggeratedly and said, "Many thanks for Fairy's guidance." I don't dare. Fairy Hongxia hurriedly returned the greeting. "Daoist Yi just didn't think of it for the time being. I don't dare to take the credit." "Since that's the case, Fairy, please wait here for a moment. I'll be right back." Yi Shixiang stood up and said apologetically. "Daoist Yi, feel free to go." Fairy Hongxia smiled and said, "With your Yi family's elite disciples watching over here, there won't be any mishaps." No. Yi Shixiang smiled and said, "With Fairy here, I can only be at ease. I definitely won't disappoint Daoist Yi." Fairy Hongxia answered very ably and sent Yi Shixiang off with her gaze. After Yi Shixiang left, Fairy Hongxia shook her head slightly and turned back to her jade chair. Just as she was about to place her attention on the disciples who were discussing the details, another figure quietly entered the hall. Fairy Hongxia was startled and looked over. Isn't that Xiao Mao who hasn't shown himself yet? Xiao Mao didn't enter the hall. Instead, he stood at the entrance with a smile on his face. Clearly, this hall was an important place for the discussion with the Kai family at night, and he couldn't casually enter. Fairy Hongxia came to her senses and walked to Xiao Mao's side with a smile. Junior brother Xiao, thank you. It seems like the discussion about the alliance between the Kai family and the Yi family is going very smoothly. It won't be long before we sign the alliance agreement. Xiao Mao smiled and said, if that's the case, then congratulations, senior sister. The Yi family is indeed very powerful. If the Kai family can form an alliance with the Yi family, it will be very beneficial for the Kai family's future development. Isn't this all because of your recommendation? Fairy Hongxia seemed very happy and said, after this matter is settled, I have to thank you. Senior sister, why are you being so courteous with me? Xiao Mao hurriedly waved his hand and said, besides, it's just a small matter for me. The most important thing is the Kai family's strength and senior sister's methods. Hearing this, Fairy Hongxia suddenly thought of Yi Shixiang's words. She frowned slightly and opened her mouth to say something. However, Xiao Mao didn't notice Fairy Hongxia's frown. Instead, he looked into the hall and transmitted his voice. Senior sister, I have something to discuss with you. Please come with me. Fairy Hongxia was stunned and smiled. Xiao Mao, the matter of the alliance agreement will be discussed by the disciples. I am also bored in this hall. Is there a place to breathe some fresh air nearby? Oh, is that so? Xiao Mao pretended to ponder. After a moment, he smiled and said, what a coincidence. I know of a bird's eye view nearby. It's a place to admire the beautiful scenery of the snow region. If senior sister wants to go, please come with me. All right. Fairy Hongxia nodded. She turned around and gave a few instructions to the disciples of the Kai family. Then she followed Xiao Mao out of the hall. Xiao Mao led Fairy Hongxia around a few halls. Sure enough, there was a rather large balcony in front of them. The balcony was covered by a cluster of sword lights. The fluttering snowflakes didn't fall. Standing on the balcony and looking into the distance, one could see a corner of the Sky Patrol City's city wall. Outside the city wall, the continuous mountain ranges were creeping in the snow. Several snow eagles flapped their wings and flew in and out of the clouds. The snowy dance that blocked one's vision covered the vast sky and earth. It was a boundless view of the Northern Kingdom. P.S. Fellow cultivators who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian. Vote for it, vote for it, vote for it. Give it as a reward. Chapter 51-58. Although Fairy Hongxia had some doubts, she could not help but admire the beautiful scenery. Unfortunately, Xiao Mao was not in the mood to appreciate it. He looked to his left and hurriedly whispered, Senior sister, I saw Yun Guichong just now. I know. Fairy Hongxia calmed down and smiled. Just now, a disciple from the Yi clan said that the head of the Yun clan, Su Yinyan, had come. Yi Shixiang had already gone to receive him. I think it must be Yun Guichong. Oh, so senior sister already knows. Xiao Mao was surprised and asked, could it be that the disciple did not hide from you when he reported? That disciple did not want to say, but Yi Shixiang asked him to. Fairy Hongxia replied faintly, I'm afraid he wanted to express his sincerity. Xiao Mao looked at Fairy Hongxia and said meaningfully, this young master of the Yi clan can't be underestimated. I feel that I have misjudged him previously. Not bad. Fairy Hongxia nodded. When I first saw him, I also thought that he was a playboy. But recently, I feel that he is not as simple as you and I thought. Hearing Fairy Hongxia's words, Xiao Mao was greatly relieved. He then said, however, senior sister, you have to be careful. Yun Zhaochong's arrival may ruin the alliance between the Yi clan and the Kai clan. Senior sister's trip to Sky Patrol City will be in vain. Actually, Fairy Hongxia looked at Xiao Mao and smiled. Whether the alliance is successful or not, I don't care. After all, most of the Yi clan's power is in Huan country. My Kai clan can't rely on the Yi clan for many things. On the other hand, the Yi clan doesn't seem to have enough power in the three countries. Relying on my Kai clan alone is not enough. They still need to contact other aristocratic families like the Yun clan. This is not beyond my expectations. Xiao Mao was stunned at first, then he smiled bitterly and bowed. I understand now. So I am the one who benefits. Little brother originally wanted to seek some benefits for senior sister. Haha, let's not talk about this anymore. Fairy Hongxia smiled. It's not right to say that my Kai clan does not benefit at all. Anyway, this is beneficial to both of us. Xiao Mao nodded and said softly, I understand. However, little brother still has something to discuss with senior sister. Is there anything else? Fairy Hongxia asked curiously. Senior sister, have you been in contact with Lu Yang recently? Xiao Mao looked around again and asked. Fairy Hongxia shook her head and said, My Kai family doesn't have any disciples in the vicinity of Sky Patrol City. In order to respect the Yi family and reduce the scruples of sword cultivators, I didn't send any messages to my family after arriving at Sky Patrol City. No wonder senior sister didn't notice. Xiao Mao suddenly understood and said, It turns out that senior sister didn't send a message out of Sky Patrol City at all. Oh, what's wrong? Fairy Hongxia was shocked. Junior brother Xiao, what happened? Maybe I'm being paranoid. Xiao Mao smiled apologetically. I've gone to the outskirts of Sky Patrol City to send messages a few times, but I haven't received any reply. If it's not that the message hasn't been sent out, then it's that it hasn't been sent in. In any case, something must have gone wrong. It's fine if it happens once or twice, but if it happens every time, it means that the security of Sky Patrol City has been strengthened. Sky Patrol City has nothing to do with the Yi clan. Fairy Hongxia frowned. The Yi clan is just borrowing Sky Patrol City's territory. Could this matter be related to the Yi clan? Xiao Mao looked around and replied in an uncertain tone. I don't know if Sky Patrol City has anything to do with the Yi clan. But since the Yi clan can occupy these palaces in Sky Patrol City, in the eyes of Sky Patrol City, the Yi clan is no small matter. Fairy Hongxia smiled and said, Maybe there are some changes in Sky Patrol City. However, I feel that whether it's I or the Kai family of Lu Yang, we're insignificant in the eyes of sword cultivators. These changes have nothing to do with us. I'll form an alliance with the Yi clan as soon as possible and rush back to Luyang as soon as possible. Xiao Mao thought about it and agreed. Fairy Hongxia was just a nascent soul female cultivator, and the Kai family had just emerged. It was impossible for her to be noticed by Sky Patrol City. All these changes could not be related to Fairy Hongxia. That's fine too. Xiao Mao smiled. Senior sister, hurry up and urge Yi Shixiang to settle the matter between the two families and leave Sky Patrol City as soon as possible. Fairy Hongxia and Xiao Mao did not suspect anything. One returned to the main hall while the other left in a hurry. Back to the country of Xi's Imperial Thunder Sect, in the cave of the 10,000 Thunder Valley. Xiao Hua's voice fell and Xiang Yang hurriedly explained. Junior brother, you can only say this to us. You must not say it in front of Qian Diheng. Otherwise, you'll hurt junior brother Qian's heart. Oh, so I've misunderstood him? Xiao Hua was stunned. He looked at the old jade table and jade chair, and was somewhat puzzled. Master Zhua smiled. Of course you've misunderstood Qian Diheng. He and Sun Shu are your good friends. Ever since you went missing, he and Sun Shu often came to my 10,000 Thunder Valley. Of course, Sun Shu did not have any official business and came many times. He was often not in the Imperial Thunder Sect, so he rarely came. But whenever he came back, he would definitely come. He never came empty-handed. More or less, he would bring spiritual stones and elixirs. That's what my 10,000 Thunder Valley deserves. Xiao Hua sneered. That year, I gave him a lot of spiritual stones, spiritual herbs, elixirs, and so on. The so-called Rejuvenation Chamber of Commerce was mainly provided by me. Cui Hongshan pondered a little and stood up. Senior brother Xiao, I also want to say a few words of justice for junior brother Qian. And say it. Xiao Hua nodded. But under his transcendence energy, the words in the cave were not leaked, so Qian Diheng did not hear it. What senior brother Xiao said is true. Cui Hongshan smiled. After all, the Rejuvenation Chamber of Commerce must have some foundation to be successful. My Imperial Thunder Sect never had this kind of plan, nor did we have this kind of ability. Qian Diheng suddenly established the Rejuvenation Chamber of Commerce. Without senior brother's support, this Rejuvenation Chamber of Commerce couldn't have been established. It can be said that senior brother, even if my 10,000 Thunder Valley took 70% of this Rejuvenation Chamber of Commerce's profits, it's normal. Of course, Xiaohua said proudly. Even 90% is reasonable. Cui Hongshan nodded and said, but senior brother Xiao, you forgot. You threw down a pile of spiritual stones, spiritual herbs, and elixirs, then left and disappeared. How do you expect us Foundation Establishment disciples to bear 90% of the Rejuvenation Chamber of Commerce's profits? 700 years. Do you still expect a person to remember your contributions, to recall them every day and night? To put it bluntly, these things that you left for my 10,000 Thunder Valley, if not for Qian Diheng deliberately diluting and concealing them, they might have been the main reason for my 10,000 Thunder Valley's extermination. Xiaohua smiled faintly and did not say much, hinting Cui Hongshan to continue. Moreover, after the Rejuvenation Chamber of Commerce was noticed by the Great Thunder Hall, my Imperial Thunder sect increased its investment, and now it has become a famous chamber of commerce in the state of Xi. Cui Hongshan understood and continued. In this process, senior brother's contributions have already weakened. Not only senior brother, Qian Diheng himself can't make decisions in many places, let alone take care of my 10,000 Thunder Valley. At this point, Cui Hongshan looked around and pointed at Jin Yu and the others. He said, the number of disciples in 10,000 Thunder Valley increased, but the supplies of Imperial Thunder Palace were limited, and the elixirs that Jin Yu and the others used for cultivation were always insufficient. Although junior brother was in the Thunder Hall, the elixirs that he could find were limited. Now that they were able to step into the Golden Core and Foundation Establishment stage, a small portion of the elixirs were provided by Qian Diheng. Ah? Xiangyang was slightly stunned and asked curiously, how come I didn't know about this? Junior brother Qian didn't. Cui Hongshan smiled and said, senior brother is right. Qian Diheng has a bad impression of junior brother, and avoids meeting junior brother. Master's wife just said that every time Qian Diheng returned to the Imperial Thunder sect, he would come to 10,000 Thunder Valley to pay his respects. Similarly, every time he would send junior brother a message asking about 10,000 Thunder Valley's necessities. Even if junior brother didn't reply, he would still send some elixirs. Feng Liha hurriedly got up and said, Martial uncle, junior brother doesn't know about these things, but once junior brother met Martial uncle Qian outside the Imperial Thunder sect. He even asked junior brother to bring some elixirs for master. Junior brother can testify to this. Xiangyang understood and smiled. Let's not talk about other things. Previously, before the 100 Halls competition, Qian Diheng gave senior brother an armor, saying that he found it for crazy heaven. He knew that senior brother was going to the Thunder Arena, so he gave it to senior brother without saying anything. Is that so? Xiaohua smiled and stood up. He looked at the cave, and saw that Qian Diheng was already standing there. Although there was a bit of embarrassment on his face, he still walked in firmly. Xiaohua looked at Qian Diheng and asked, You're here? Qian Diheng looked at Xiaohua and took a deep breath. He said word by word. I have already heard what you said just now. Presumably, you wanted me to hear it. I originally wanted to turn around and leave, but I felt that I should make things clear. I did what I should do. I have a clear conscience. If you think. Without waiting for Qian Diheng to finish, Xiaohua walked in front of Qian Diheng, opened his arms and embraced Qian Diheng. He patted Qian Diheng's back and said with a smile, Since we are brothers, there is no need to say anything more. Explaining one more word will make the brotherhood forged by time fade. Xiao. Senior brother Xiao. Qian Diheng's body stiffened, his eyes reddened. He patted Xiaohua's back with his hand and said, I, your father, have never been hugged by a man before. Quickly let go. Haha. Xiaohua laughed and let go of his arms. He pointed to the jade chair next to him and said, Sit down. I already saw you just now, but at that time, things were urgent and I didn't have time to talk to you. You don't have to take it to heart. Okay. Qian Diheng saw that Xiaohua didn't have the kind of power he had just seen. Whether it was his bearing or speech, it was the same as it was 1,000 years ago. He nodded with a smile and sat on the jade chair without being too polite. You're late. Xiaohua smiled and raised his cup. I have already finished talking about my experiences in these years. I don't want to say it a second time. If you want to know, you can ask senior brother and the others. Come, it's been hard for you to take care of my myriad Thunder Valley all these years. Let me give you a toast. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please go to Qidian to subscribe to support, vote for a month, vote for a recommendation, collect, reward, and thank you for all kinds of support. Chapter 51-59. If it's because of this, I don't want to drink this cup. Qian Diheng took the jade cup and smiled. Because this is what you entrusted me before you left, and this is what I should do. This cup should be to congratulate you on your safe return. Good brother. Xiaohua smiled and said, let's drink this cup first. Okay. Qian Diheng didn't say much and opened his mouth. The spirit wine brewed from the immortal peach entered his stomach. In a flash, Qian Diheng's eyes widened. Without putting down the jade cup, he shouted, Brother Xiao, what kind of spirit wine is this? How much do you have? Damn it, if this wine is placed in the auction. Don't worry. Xiaohua smiled and looked at this little miser. He pointed at the immortal peach that the refinement disciple gave to Qian Diheng and said, try this first. What kind of good thing is this? Qian Diheng couldn't wait to pick it up. He first smelled it and said, if it's auctioned, I'm afraid it will cost 10 upper-grade spirit stones. Then, Qian Diheng ate the immortal peach. This spirit fruit. Qian Diheng naturally ate a lot of spirit fruits. When he ate the immortal peach, he immediately understood that it was extraordinary and exclaimed, 10 spirit stones is not enough, but at least 100. Dizzy. Xiaohua snorted and said, really ignorant. This thing can replenish one's lifespan, and is comparable to the rejuvenation pill. 100 upper-grade spirit stones is nothing. No way. Qian Diheng was stunned. In a flash, his figure flashed and appeared next to Xiaohua. He said shamelessly, brother, how many more immortal peaches do you have? Let's talk. Give some to my rejuvenation chamber of commerce? Oh, don't forget, the rejuvenation chamber of commerce is also yours. With these immortal peaches, the rejuvenation chamber of commerce will become the #1 chamber of commerce in the Dawn continent. Looking at Qian Diheng's unscrupulous appearance, Xiaohua smiled and shook his head. Besides me, the other one is Immortal Emperor Go Chun from the Immortal Palace. This kind of heaven and earth spirit item cannot be sold. Immortal Palace? Immortal Emperor Go Chun? Qian Diheng didn't understand and scratched his head. Who is that? A place that is 100 times more powerful than the Immortal Alliance. Xiaohua said with a smile. When you go back and ask junior brother Cui and the others, you will know. There are 3 huge continents there, with Zhaixing Lu, Luo Yi Merchant Alliance, and other merchant alliances that are 1,000 times bigger than your return of Spring Chamber of Commerce. Oh my! Qian Diheng understood and shouted. Senior brother Xiao, so you went to the Defeat Oak Immortal Union? Well, more or less. Xiaohua was too lazy to explain and only said, if you want to establish the Grand Rejuvenation Chamber of Commerce, then you can cooperate with my Fortune Gate in the future. The star-plucking pavilion you mentioned earlier is my Fortune Gate's business union. As for these immortal peaches, even Zhaixing Lu cannot sell them. You should take advantage of the current situation and eat more. I understand. Qian Diheng said as he instantly floated back to his seat. Holding 2 immortal peaches in his hands, he took a bite from the left and a bite from the right. After he finished eating, he stuffed a few more into his bosom. Finally, he looked at Xiaohua and asked, Senior brother, do you have any more? No more. Xiaohua looked at him snappily, and raised his hand to give him a jade token. He said, this is your brother's token. In the future, you can use this to contact my Fortune Gate's sect master, and discuss matters regarding the Chamber of Commerce. I haven't eaten enough, senior brother. Qian Diheng took the jade token and looked at Xiaohua somewhat shamelessly. He whispered, can you give me a few more? Junior brother Qian, I have some here. Xiang Yang was obedient and hurriedly took out the immortal peaches on his jade table to give to Qian Diheng. Xiang Zhili hurriedly stopped him and said, Father, don't mind Martial Uncle Qian, he already stuffed 3 immortal peaches into his storage pouch. Martial nephew, you are also a nascent soul ancestor. Qian Diheng dragged out his tone and said, why don't you empathize with Martial Uncle, a golden core disciple? Even if you don't empathize with martial uncle, you should empathize with martial uncle's Dao companions. Xiang Zhili even raised his voice and pretended to be surprised. It can't be martial uncle Qian, you actually have 3 Dao companions. Cough cough. Qian Diheng coughed a few times and said, lower your voice, 3 immortal peaches. Isn't it not enough to share? PFFF. Xiang Zhili laughed and said, your body is really good. Although Xiang Zhili said so, Xiang Yang still gave the immortal peaches on the jade table to Qian Diheng. Qian Diheng accepted them without saying anything, and then sat down with satisfaction. Zhua **** is very happy. Looking at the other disciples of Myriad Thunder Valley in the cave, she said, children, you all have worked hard. This old one has made the decision. Today, everyone will get 3 immortal peaches. You must finish them all. Master's wife, Xiaohua said with a bitter smile. You are so generous, making things difficult for this disciple. You have also given away the remaining stock. Zhua **** smiles and said, who asked this old one to be your master's wife? Xiaohua smiled and took out some immortal peaches from the space, adding a few more immortal peaches in front of everyone. However, there was none in front of Qian Diheng. It seems that Xiaohua did it on purpose. Senior martial brother Xiao. Qian Diheng said with a sad face. It can't be right? Your family only needs these 3 immortal peaches. AI, junior martial brother Qian. Even the landlord doesn't have any extra food. Xiaohua said sincerely and stood up again, looking outside the cave. In just a moment, Zhen Qing and Sun Qian came in with Sun Shu. Sun Shu walked a few steps forward and bowed to Zhua *****. Greetings to martial uncle. Zhua *****'s face showed a smile. She walked down from the top and helped Sun Shu up, saying, I just heard from Xiaohua that before he returned to the Imperial Thunder Sect, you had already met. This is fate. Martial uncle. How could Sun Shu not know Zhua ****'s plan? After Zhen Qing and Sun Qian finished greeting Zhua *****, he changed the topic with some embarrassment and said, you didn't see senior martial brother Zhao's power that day. Facing 2 nascent soul cultivators, he didn't even bother to make a move and only sent his own disciples to kill them. Oh, also, do you remember the last 2 most powerful weapon cultivators in the sword battle? They didn't even have the power to fight back against senior martial brother Xiao. I know. Zhua ***** was happy to hear this. His train of thought was obviously led astray by Sun Shu. He said with a smile, what you said doesn't count for much. You didn't see in front of the guest pavilion that Xiaohua killed the Immortal Alliance's deputy alliance leader Luo with 1 palm and forced Sun Yunzi of the Shanghua sect to commit suicide. While the 2 female cultivators were chattering, Zhen Qing and Sun Qian finished greeting Xiaohua. Zhen Qing sighed and said, Spiritual Master Xiao, I have seen you before. Logically speaking, there is no need for me to come see you now. But, after hearing your great power and saving my Imperial Thunder Sect from the danger of being destroyed, I feel that I should still come and thank you. Martial uncle is too polite. Xiaohua said with a smile. This is what I should do. Since spiritual master doesn't forget his roots, I am relieved. Zhen Qing didn't delay and replied. I have finished thanking you, so I won't disturb the reunion of the 10,000 Thunder Valley disciples. Goodbye. Oh, Xiaohua was slightly stunned and hurriedly said, Martial uncle, why don't we drink a cup of spiritual wine first? No. Zhen Qing looked at Sun Qian and said meaningfully, what is lost is lost. What should be gained now is lost. What is missed may not be missed. There is still time to redeem it. After saying this, Zhen Qing turned and left with Sun Qian, not calling Sun Shu again. Xiaohua immediately understood Zhen Qing's meaning. Zhen Qing didn't come to thank the Imperial Thunder Sect for their grace. He clearly came to pull the female supporting lead. Xiaohua helped him and Sun Qian get married, so he also wanted Sun Shu to be with him. Xiaohua felt awkward but also grateful. He sent Zhen Qing and Sun Qian out of the cave. When they reached the entrance of the cave, Zhen Qing seemed to have thought of something and said, Spiritual Master Xiao, there is no need to send us off. There is something I didn't want to say, but since we are here, it's better to say it. Martial uncle, please please say it. Xiaohua said with a smile. Why are you being so polite with me? It is impossible for a person to make mistakes in their life, but if they know they are wrong. Zhenqing said with slight hesitation. However, before he could finish, Xiaohua shook his head and said, Martial uncle, please don't say it. I can forgive some people for their mistakes, but some people are ungrateful and even bite the hand that feeds them. I can forgive them if I don't kill them. Why should I forgive them? Bite the hand that feeds you? Zhenqing was stunned and asked curiously. That's not possible, right? Xiaohua said with a smile. Martial uncle wasn't in the Imperial Thunder sect before, so you naturally don't know about the 100 Palace competition. My 10,000 Thunder Valley senior brother was almost beaten to death. How can I forgive him? Zhenqing was a bit embarrassed and said with a smile. I see. Since that's the case, just pretend I didn't say anything. Yes, Martial uncle, please. Xiaohua said with a smile. In the future, if you need anything, you can come to the 10,000 Thunder Valley. Wuqing and the others should be able to help. I know. Zhenqing cupped her hands. Sun Qian didn't say anything and accompanied Zhenqing with a happy expression. At this moment, she was flying in the air and said in a low voice, Taoist Master Xiao, didn't you say it before? Giving others a chance is also giving yourself a chance. Today, I will say these words to you. Sun Shu is a good girl. Cough cough. Xiaohua hurriedly coughed a few times and said, Thank you, Taoist son. After sending Zhenqing and Sun Qian off, Xiaohua coldly looked at the distant sky, and then turned around and entered the cave. Inside the cave, Sun Shu was beaming with joy as she told everyone about how Xiaohua killed Taoist Master Soaring Dragon and Fairy Luohua. Seeing Xiaohua return, she paused for a moment. Clearly, she was clear about Zhenqing and Sun Qian's intentions. Following Sun Shu's gaze, Qian Diheng also had a complicated gaze. Qian Diheng came to see Xiaohua, but more importantly, he wanted to bring Taoist Master Quangtian to ask for forgiveness from Xiaohua. However, with just a few words from Xiaohua, Qian Diheng felt that there was a gap between him and Xiaohua. He couldn't even protect himself, so naturally, he couldn't bring Taoist Master Quangtian along. After Qian Diheng told Xiaohua about the matter, he kept trying to find an excuse to talk about Taoist Master Quangtian. However, he tried a few times. Facing Xiang Yang, who was almost killed by Qian Ding, and facing Xiang Zhili, who already knew his intentions and was always on guard against him, he couldn't find an opportunity to talk. At this moment, Qian Diheng saw Xiaohua come in and hurriedly got up. However, before he could get up, Xiang Zhili walked over with a smile and a jade cup in his hand and said, Martial Uncle Qian, come, let this little nephew toast you. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please go to Qidian to subscribe to support. Vote for a monthly vote, vote for a recommendation vote, collect gift. Chapter 5160. Alas. Seeing Xiang Zhili stop him again, Qian Diheng simply sighed and said, Xiang Zhili, you're also a nascent soul master now. Don't lower yourself to the same level as a Jindan disciple, okay? Xiang Zhili smiled and said, Look at what Martial Uncle Qian is saying. You're my martial uncle. How can I lower myself to your level? Your words are the golden rule in this little nephew's opinion. In that case, don't stop me, Qian Diheng said, and was about to walk away again. Unfortunately, how could Xiang Zhili let Qian Diheng pass? He smiled and said, If Martial Uncle wants to leave, you have to drink this cup, right? Martial Uncle drank a lot with you just now. What's this cup for? Qian Diheng saw that he couldn't pass and could only ask. As long as you say it clearly, Martial Uncle will naturally drink it. Is there a need to say it? Of course, it's to thank your Heavenly Thunder Palace for taking care of me during the 100 Halls competition, Xiang Zhili said with a smile. Of course, I have to thank Martial Uncle for taking out the spiritual armor before my father went up on stage. Alas, Martial Nephew Xiang. Hearing this, Qian Diheng let out a sigh of relief. Without saying a word, he drank the spiritual wine first and then said, Your words have touched my heart. Martial Uncle must drink this wine. But after drinking it, you have to listen to Martial Uncle's words. Yes, Martial Uncle, please say it. Xiang Zhili replied with a smile. I know you hate my great-grandfather. And I also know his attitude towards the Myriad Thunder Valley was really unfair. Qian Diheng said in a low voice, but look at it the other way around. If it weren't for his support, I wouldn't have been able to control the Rejuvenation Chamber of Commerce for so long. And I wouldn't have been able to take care of the Myriad Thunder Valley. In fact, every time I came to the Myriad Thunder Valley, he knew and even scolded me many times. However, he didn't forcefully stop me. This is your business. Xiang Zhili's face was somewhat cold as he replied. If it weren't for your concern for the Myriad Thunder Valley, if it weren't for you being his son, how could he have tacitly allowed you to come? The gratitude of the Myriad Thunder Valley can only be placed on you. It's impossible for it to fall on him. Marshal Uncle Qian, think about it. After the 100 Halls competition, what did he say? Did he ever regret it? In the battle for the Palace Lord of the Heavenly Thunder Palace, wasn't he still planning to join forces with Bai Fei to defeat Wuqing first? If my foster father hadn't returned to the Myriad Thunder Valley, would he have come here to beg for forgiveness? Qian Diheng opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but Xiaohua walked over with a smile and said, Brother, I already know about this matter. Let's not talk about anything else. Previously, Daoist Quangtian gave you face and didn't make things difficult for Daoist Quangtian. From now on, I, Wuqing Li and the other disciples of Myriad Thunder Valley will also give you face and not make things difficult for Daoist Quangtian. Is that enough? He treated my eldest senior brother like that. It's already good enough that we didn't make trouble for him. If you want me to forgive him, I'm sorry, brother. I haven't cultivated to that level yet. Speaking up to here, Xiaohua hurriedly urged. You should hurry up and stop him from coming in. Don't engage in some shady business of offering a humble apology. Otherwise, it wouldn't look good for everyone. Sigh, I understand. Qian Diheng got a clear answer from Xiaohua and sighed. I will go now. As long as senior brother promises not to make things difficult for my great-grandfather in the future, I will be satisfied. Hee, you can rest assured about this. Xiaohua patted Qian Diheng's shoulder and said, I have already cultivated to this level. As Xiaohua expected, Qian Diheng didn't return after going out. He must have gone to accompany Daoist Quangtian. Regarding Daoist Quangtian, Xiaohua couldn't say how he felt. If he repaid kindness with enmity, it wouldn't be so serious. But if he only said that he was a wolf of the mountain, it would be whitewashing him. Just based on the fact that he asked Qian Diheng to be ruthless in the 100 Halls competition, Xiaohua wanted to cripple his cultivation. However, there was a Qian Diheng between the 10,000 Lightning Valley and Daoist Quangtian. In any case, Qian Diheng was very good to the 10,000 Lightning Valley, so Xiaohua couldn't be ruthless. Moreover, although the Imperial Lightning Sect had avoided a calamity, they had lost 30% of their disciples. They really needed a nascent Soul Realm master like Daoist Quangtian to step forward. Xiaohua couldn't destroy Daoist Quangtian for the sake of the Imperial Lightning Sect. Since he couldn't deal with Daoist Quangtian, then he might as well not meet him. Only Daoist Quangtian could bear the consequences. In the future, the Dawn Rain mainland would be the Fortune Gate's world. If Daoist Quangtian really wanted to poke a hole in the sky, the Fortune Gate's disciples would kill him. Xiang Yang had been paying attention to Xiaohua's conversation with Qian Diheng. Seeing that Qian Diheng had left, he hurried over and asked in a low voice, Junior brother, is Daoist Quangtian here? Xiaohua clearly heard that this junior brother was definitely not junior brother Xiao. It was the same name Xiang Yang had always called him when he met him in the past. Xiaohua smiled faintly and said, Isn't that obvious? Qian Diheng came to the 10,000 Lightning Valley for this. No. Xiang Yang laughed and said, I know junior brother Qian's character very well. He mainly came to see you. As for Daoist Quangtian, he just misunderstood my 10,000 Lightning Valley. Xiaohua sneered and said, He can misunderstand me, but he can't take his anger out on the 10,000 Lightning Valley. This kind of narrow-minded person won't be able to achieve anything great. Xiang Yang answered, The problem is, Wuqing is about to become the Heavenly Thunder Palace's palace master. Daoist Quangtian has great influence in the Heavenly Thunder Palace. Offending him is not good for Wuqing. Xiaohua waved his hand and said, Eldest senior brother, You don't need to care about this kind of thing. Offending him. Junior brother is too lazy to offend him. But you, eldest senior brother, after consuming the peach of immortality, your lifespan has been replenished. You still need to cultivate diligently and step into the nascent soul realm as soon as possible. Nascent soul. Xiangyang smiled bitterly and said in a low voice, Junior brother, to be honest, the current golden core realm is something that senior brother could not even dream of. How can senior brother cultivate to the nascent soul realm with his remaining lifespan? Since that's the case, Xiaohua patted Xiangyang's shoulder with a smile and said, Eldest senior brother, come with me. I'll help you repair your gold core, and then I'll teach Li and the others about the Tao of lightning cultivation. Okay. Xiangyang hurriedly nodded when he heard that Xiaohua wanted to teach Xiang Zhili and the others. But before he could turn around to call Xiang Zhili, Zhuo Hongzhu called out, Xiaohua, quickly come over here. Master's wife, is there something you need? Xiaohua hurried over and asked respectfully. Zhuo Hongzhu shook her head and said, This old one has nothing to do, but Sun Shu has something to tell you. Oh. Xiaohua raised his eyebrows and asked curiously, Junior sister Sun, what is it? Sun Shu's face turned red, and she hurriedly took out a jade slip and handed it to Xiaohua, saying, Senior brother, on the way back to the Imperial Thunder Sect, Junior sister saw a transmission jade slip from the Dawn Rain Mainland's Fortune Gate. Junior sister looked at it, and it seemed it was related to Fairy Hongxia's engagement, so Junior sister took it. Junior sister rushed over today specifically to deliver this jade slip to senior brother. And this Xiao already knows about this matter. Xiaohua's expression didn't change as he nodded. He then turned to Zhuo Hongzhu and said, This is the jade slip that Master Zhen Yuan gave to Disciple. Disciple has already ordered the Fortune Gate to head to Sky Patrol City. Senior brother. Sun Shu hurriedly urged, Don't be too careless. If this matter is not handled properly, Fairy Hongxia might be unhappy. Xiaohua grinned and said, Junior sister, don't worry. The jade slip clearly states that there is still a month before the engagement. With the Fortune Gate's disciples' speed, they will arrive at Sky Patrol City in less than a month. That's good. Sun Shu was relieved and smiled sweetly. Junior sister has heard senior sister Shui praising Fairy Hongxia. She is a good match for senior brother. I hope senior brother won't miss this wonderful marriage. Thank you, junior sister, for your blessings. Xiaohua smiled, but in his heart, he felt a little awkward. Then little sister won't stay any longer. Sun Shu finished speaking and was about to leave, but Zhuo **** didn't wait for her to finish speaking and pulled her back. Child, you can't go. This old woman hasn't tasted the spirit fruit and spirit wine that Xiaohua brought back. If you leave, who will accompany this old woman? Xiaohua laughed and said, In that case, junior sister Sun, accompany master's wife to drink a few more cups. Here are some rare spirit fruits on the Dawn Rain continent. Accompany master's wife to taste them. Xiaohua took out another storage pouch and handed it to Sun Shu. Oh. Seeing that Xiaohua didn't treat her as an outsider, Sun Shu smiled sweetly and accepted the storage pouch. She knew clearly that this person in front of her, she could only look at him from afar. Master's wife. Xiaohua reported. Disciple has something to do and needs to rush to Sky Patrol City. Disciple wants to take advantage of the time to help senior brother repair his gold core, and give Wuqing and the others some pointers in their cultivation. Good. Zhuo Hongzhu heard and said good a few times, urging, Go quickly. Oh right, call Qinglian, Hongshan and Qiming together. Xiaohua didn't intend to call the three of them, but after thinking for a while he smiled and said, Okay. Xiangyang was at the side. After hearing, he hurriedly transmitted a message to Cui Hongshan and the others. After the three of them knew, they were overjoyed and hurriedly got up. Zhenquan. Xiaohua glanced and ordered, Take care of Grandmaster and the others. I have something to tell your master and the others. Don't let others disturb us. Yes, Marshal Uncle Xiao. Zhenquan hurriedly got up. Zhen Yetao and the others also hurriedly left their seats. I'll go take a look at my cave residence. You all don't have to come out. Xiaohua said with a smile and hurriedly led Xiangyang and the others out of the cave residence. Although Xiaohua said so, The disciples didn't dare to take it seriously. They still got up and sent them out, even to the front of Xiaohua's cave residence. Xiaohua entered the cave residence and saw that everything was the same as before. He smiled and said to Xiangyang, "Senior brother, you're considerate." Xiangyang shook his head and said, "We basically don't come to your cave residence. It's Li and the others who cultivate here." "Father." Xiang Zhili shrugged and said, "There's no other way." Foster Father's cave residence is very rich in heaven and earth spiritual qi. It's the most suitable place for cultivation in our myriad Thunder Valley. Boy doesn't come here. Where can he cultivate? P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, vote for it, vote for it, vote for it, donate it, and thank you for all forms of support. Chapter 5161. Senior Brother Zhao's luck is the best. Dui Qiming covered her mouth and laughed. We were all worried about his life in the myriad Thunder Valley, but he actually cultivated to a level that we didn't even dare to imagine, Xiaohua said seriously. Opportunities always go hand in hand with danger. Although I've cultivated successfully, the process was extremely dangerous. The slightest carelessness could have led to eternal damnation. These few hundred years to me are practically tens of thousands of years. Yes, I understand. Dui Qiming's expression turned cold, and she hurriedly replied, "Thank you for your guidance, senior brother." After Xiaohua finished speaking, he rubbed his hands together, and several rays of crystal light fell into the void, sealing off the cave. Only then did he say, "Of course, I won't deny that this Zhao's luck far surpasses your imagination. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to cultivate to such a level in such a short time." Foster Father. Xiang Zhili couldn't help but call out, "What level are you at now?" Although Xiaohua had told everyone about his experiences, he never liked to show off. Things like killing a great saint of the demon race or killing a demon venerable of the demon race were all brushed aside by him. So Xiang Zhili and the others weren't clear about Xiaohua's strength. Just as Zhua thought, he was at most at the fusion stage. Xiaohua hesitated for a moment, then said, "Foster Father, you're already a supreme of the human race. You might ascend soon." Everyone was shocked, and they all opened their mouths, not knowing what to say. In their minds, ascension was just a word. They didn't know what ascension meant, or what kind of strength one needed to achieve it. No need to think too much. Xiaohua waved his hand and said, "I'm your senior brother, junior brother, or foster father, no different from before." Boy understands." Xiang Zhili giggled and said, "Then foster father, hurry up and ascend. Boy will also go to the immortal world to find you after he ascends." Xiang Zhili smiled, and Xiangyang and the others smiled as well. Their previous solemn expressions slowly disappeared. Xiaohua looked at Xiang Zhili, then at the others and said with a smile, "Lear is right. In the entire Imperial Thunder sect, only you few have hope of ascending. Don't forget that all of you have either used the Thunder Beast's inner core to supplement your Taoist foundation, or were born from the Thunder Beast's inner core. Your innate foundation is far superior to that of ordinary people. That's why I took the time to talk to you about the Tao of Lightning Cultivators. I hope that you can successfully cultivate the true lightning escape technique." "Yes, boy understands," Xiang Zhili hurriedly replied. Everyone else nodded in agreement. Xiaohua said to Xiangyang, "Eldest senior brother, let me borrow your broken Jindan." "Haha, well said." When Xiangyang heard that his son had a chance to ascend, he was so happy that he couldn't even close his mouth. Not to mention borrowing his Jindan, he was even willing to cut off his head. Seeing Xiangyang agree, Xiaohua raised his hand and grabbed, imprisoning Xiangyang's body. With a wave of his hand, Xiaohua pulled Xiangyang in front of him, and then pointed with his finger. Shua. A shadow flashed above Xiangyang's abdomen, and a curtain of light flickered, revealing the shattered golden core in front of everyone. "Take a look," Xiaohua said. "This is the Jindan, formed by the condensation of true essence. It contains the laws of heaven and earth and contains the spiritual energy of heaven and earth." Seeing Xiaohua preach again, Xiang Zhili and the others didn't dare to delay. They hurriedly sat down cross-legged and listened attentively. Xiao Hua explained the Jindan while urging his magic power and divine ability to repair it. When the Jindan was repaired, he explained the nascent soul formation technique. Once the nascent soul formation technique was completed, he talked about the spirit severing stage, body fusion stage, and other profound secret techniques one by one. It was 100 times more detailed than the previous discussion. Wu Qing, Xiang Zhili, and Cui Yingying were still fine. They felt an indescribable itch in their hearts when they heard the benefits. However, Xiang Yang, Yin Qinglian, Cui Hongshan, and Dui Qiming were confused. However, they also knew that this was the greatest opportunity in their lives. Although they couldn't understand, they still tried hard to remember it. After he finished talking about ordinary cultivation techniques, Xiao Hua once again talked about the thunder-controlling sex thunder evasion technique, which was mixed with the most basic cultivation technique, and talked about it again. Xiao Hua had completely cultivated the thunder evasion technique, so he knew the secret of it. During his explanation, he generously gave out rare items like fire essence flame crystal, wood essence flame crystal, earth essence yao milk, water essence ice essence, metal essence rising essence, and other rare items. He also gave out the 5 elements evasion technique, and so on. After he spoke for 10 days and 10 nights, when he finished speaking, Xiao Hua raised his eyes to look outside the cave and said, "The thunder-controlling sex thunder evasion technique is indeed complete, but in reality, it lacks a supplementary cultivation method. Ordinary thunder-controlling sect disciples find it difficult to reach great accomplishment. You all have fate with the thunder beast, and your bodies borrow the power of thunder and lightning. Therefore, with the spiritual items I gave you, there is hope that you can cultivate the thunder evasion technique to great accomplishment. Great accomplishment of the thunder evasion technique is enough to allow you to enter the great accomplishment stage." By the time Xiao Hua finished speaking, the entire immortal cave had gone silent for an entire meal. "Thank you, junior brother." Xiang Yang opened his eyes, and an indescribable feeling emerged from the bottom of his heart. He had cultivated for his entire life, but never once had he listened to such a rich lecture. Xiao Hua looked at the other people sitting cross-legged, and said with a smile, "Senior brother, your aptitude is the worst. However, you have the advantage of tenacity. Slowly cultivate, your future path is still long. Cultivate to wherever you can, and if you encounter a bottleneck that you can't break through, you don't have to take too many risks." "Yes, I know this the best," Xiang Yang said with a simple and honest smile. "As I said before, if it weren't for junior brother, I'm afraid I wouldn't even be able to enter the late stage of foundation establishment. Thank you, junior brother." While speaking, Yin Qinglian also woke up and hurriedly bowed. "Senior sister, no need to be polite with junior brother." Xiao Hua hurriedly helped Yin Qinglian up. Yin Qinglian thought for a moment and said, "What junior brother taught me, can I pass it on to my disciples?" "Of course." Xiao Hua agreed without hesitation. "They are disciples of the myriad Thunder Valley, so naturally you can pass it on. However, their physical aptitudes are not good, so don't place too much hope on them." "I know," Yin Qinglian said with a smile. "The lightning evasion technique has never been something that disciples of the palace branch like us can cultivate. If Zhen Quan, Zhen Yetao, and the others can cultivate it, even if they can't achieve anything, they will be extremely happy." Dui Qiming and Cui Hongshan also woke up a moment later, and the two sighed with emotion and thanked Xiao Hua again. "Let's go." Xiao Hua looked at Wu Qing and the others behind him and said, "No matter what, they have to comprehend it for another half a day. Fairy Xian Hua outside the cave has been waiting for a long time. Yes, we will listen to senior brother Xiao." Cui Hongshan and the others said, and walked out of the cave with Xiao Hua like stars surrounding the moon. Outside the cave, Fairy Xian Hua and the other masters of the 7 lightning palaces were respectfully standing there, not daring to even breathe loudly. Seeing Xiao Hua and the others come out, Fairy Xian Hua hurriedly stepped forward and bowed. Disciple Xian Hua represents the disciples of the Imperial Thunder Sect to thank Taoist Xiao for his kindness in teaching us. Disciple and the others thank Taoist Xiao for his kindness in teaching us. Lei Ming Taoist and the others also hurriedly bowed. Xiaohua didn't dare to let Lei Meng Daoist salute like that day in front of the mountain gate. He simply waved his hand and helped everyone up, and said with a smile, "Don't thank me. This old man has already said that this is what I owe the Imperial Thunder Sect, and I must return it to the Imperial Thunder Sect." Fairy Xianhua and the others couldn't continue bowing, and had to stand up. Fairy Xianhua said with a smile, "Speaking of which, this junior owes senior too much. This junior was reckless back then, and this junior doesn't know how to make up for the previous mistake." Xiaohua waved his hand and said, "The past is the past. There is no need to mention it again. Moreover, what you did that day was not wrong. This Xiao has indeed violated the rules of the Imperial Thunder Sect's founder, and this Xiao has never thought of blaming you for this matter. This junior understands, and this time." Fairy Xianhua said again, "Cleaning up the myriad Thunder Valley is this junior's fault." Hearing this, Xiaohua didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He hurriedly looked at Lei Meng Daoist and said, "Lei Meng Daoist, did you say that Fairy Xianhua was wrong?" Lei Meng Daoist was stunned, as he didn't expect Xiaohua to suddenly ask him. He only hesitated for a moment before answering. Sect Master's starting point is correct. Cleaning up the redundant palace branches is feasible, but there are some shortcomings in the implementation. Sometimes one is too rigid and can't listen to the opinions of others. It's easy to be taken advantage of by evil people. Yes, this junior understands. Fairy Xianhua looked at Xiaohua respectfully and replied, "Of course." Lei Meng Daoist didn't stop, and said again, "Although Sect Master has made so many mistakes, Sect Master still has the Imperial Thunder Sect in his heart, and didn't give up or compromise at the most critical moment. This alone is enough to gain our support. This seat is ashamed." Fairy Xianhua's face was slightly red, and she bowed to Lei Meng Daoist and the others. "Sect Master is too polite." The palace masters of the Lightning Palace hurriedly returned the bow, and said with a smile, "If there is anything in the future, it's better to discuss it more." Of course, of course." Fairy Xianhua nodded. "Seeing you all so united, this old man can be at ease," Xiaohua said with a smile. However, although the Imperial Thunder Sect wasn't exterminated this time, it actually suffered a great loss. Moreover, according to the calculations of the falling star heaven, there might be other arrangements in the sect that need to be cleaned up as soon as possible. Fairy Xianhua was very happy to see that Xiaohua was still concerned about the Imperial Thunder Sect. She explained the specific situation, and finally said, "This junior has already asked the palace masters to clean up the rebels. Now that the falling star heaven has been attacked by senior, their various schemes will definitely fail." And Xiaohua nodded, and looked at everyone. In the end, he took out 7 storage pouches and handed them to the 7 people, saying, "You all have been cultivating endlessly, so I'll give this to you. I hope that you all can reach a higher level of enlightenment." "Senior." Fairy Xianhua was stunned, and hurriedly waved her hand, saying, "This junior doesn't dare to ask for more. Senior has given our Imperial Thunder Sect too many things. That's for the Imperial Thunder Sect. These are for you all." Xiaohua waved his hand, and the 7 storage pouches were placed in front of each person, and said with a smile, "This Xiao has stayed in the Imperial Thunder Sect, so I know your hardships. Back then, Daoist Miyu racked her brains for the water elemental ice essence, but in the end, I'm afraid that she didn't get it. Today this Xiao will fulfill your wish. I hope that you all can cultivate more, and worry more about the affairs of the Imperial Thunder Sect. Don't waste unnecessary energy on other things. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please go to Qidian to subscribe to support, vote for a month, vote for a recommendation, collect, reward, and thank all forms of support. Chapter 5162. Hiss. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air when they heard this. When they checked the storage pouch, they were so shocked that they didn't know what to do. Everyone looked at each other and nodded. They carefully put away the storage pouch. Fairy Xianhua hesitated for a moment before saying, "Senior you." When she spoke up to hear, Fairy Xianhua was unable to continue. Seeing Fairy Xianhua's awkward expression, Thunder Talisman Taoist smiled and said, Since that's the case, let this old man say it. What's wrong? Xiaohua was a little confused and asked. Thunder Talisman Taoist said, Taoist Xiao, you were originally a disciple of my Imperial Lightning sect. 700 years ago, senior sister Xianhua expelled you from the Imperial Lightning sect and became the biggest joke in my country. Now that you have returned with a supreme divine ability, senior sister Xianhua wants to. Hee hee. Hearing Thunder Talisman Taoist bring up the past, Xiaohua laughed and interrupted him before he could finish. This Xiao is not in the Imperial Lightning sect, but the Myriad Lightning Valley is in the Imperial Lightning sect. This Xiao won't say anything unnecessary. Yes, Junior understands. Fairy Xianhua bit her lips and hurriedly asked. Junior knows that Senior's fortune gate is 100 times stronger than the Imperial Lightning sect. In the future, the fortune gate will definitely dominate the 3 countries. Junior. Oh, this Xiao understands. Xiaohua slapped his forehead and took out a jade slip. He wrote something on it and handed it to Fairy Xianhua with a smile. Don't worry about this matter. My fortune gate has already established a sect at Yellowflower Ridge. If you want to form an alliance, you can go to Yellowflower Ridge. The fortune gate sect master is this Xiao's disciple. They will take care of the Imperial Lightning sect. Junior thanks. Fairy Xianhua was overjoyed. She received the jade slip and thanked Xiaohua again. At this time, a demonic wind blew in the sky. Fairy Xianhua was startled. The black bear spirit brought Venerable Zhen Yuan, and 2 cultivators fell from the sky with his paws. The moment the black bear spirit landed, he immediately knelt and kowtowed, reporting to Sect Master. This little one was ordered to bring 2 spirit-severing brats here. The black bear spirit general shook his left paw and the old man with white hair and a youthful face fell to the ground. He said, This is Feng Shu from the Immortal Ascension Gate. Soon after, with another shake, another middle-aged man in his 40s also landed on the ground and said, This is Xian Lusec's Chan Si Miao. Xiaohua frowned as he looked at the 2 of them. He didn't have any impression of them. After that, Xiaohua raised his hand and pointed at the space between Feng Shu's brows. Feng Shu opened his eyes and saw Lord Zhen Yuan. He scolded, Zhen Yuan, I have no enmity with you. Why did you instigate this demon bear? Feng Shu, Xiaohua said faintly from behind him. Do you know this old man? Feng Shu was shocked and hurriedly turned his head. When he saw Xiaohua's appearance, his expression changed greatly. Of course, his expression only changed for an instant before it returned to normal. He frowned and asked, Senior, who are you? You still haven't given up your evil intentions. Do you think you're the only one who knows how to search souls? Hearing this, Xiaohua was slightly angered. He raised his hand and pointed at the space between Feng Shu's brows again. Between Xiaohua's fingers, dark green soul strands instantly seeped in. Senior. Feng Shu turned pale with fright and shouted, How can you search souls as you wish? When you sent Shanzi to kill this Xiao, when you searched this Xiao's soul in the Imperial Devil Valley, this Xiao already had the qualifications to search your soul. Xiaohua said faintly with a cold smile. His soul technique was unparalleled in the world. In just a moment, he had already discovered some clues. Feng Shu had already realized something and hurriedly begged for mercy. Unfortunately, before he could say a second word, Xiaohua had already interrupted him. This Xiao gave you a chance. Unfortunately, you didn't know how to grasp it. It's too late now. Feng Shu naturally didn't want to give in. Golden light flashed around his body, and he wanted to struggle. Unfortunately, the golden light only flashed for a moment before it was extinguished. Feng Shu suddenly realized that his body felt like it was embedded into a mountain rock. Not only could he not move his fingers, even his thoughts were about to freeze. Only now did Feng Shu suddenly realize that the black bear spirit who had previously taken him down was kneeling in front of Xiaohua, not even daring to raise his head. Damn it! Feng Shu roared sorrowfully in his heart. What exactly is going on? What exactly is going on? How is this Zhang Xiaohua? How is she so powerful? If I had known earlier, I'm afraid even Feng Shu himself wouldn't know what he would have done. Because his life would end here, his reincarnation would also end here. So it's like this. Xiao Hua withdrew his soul-searching fingers and looked at Feng Shu, who was paralyzed on the ground. He pinched his chin and thought to himself, so he and Chan Si Miao wanted to seize this Zhao's body and use it to resist the soul-splitting thunder tribulation. Unfortunately, he and Chan Si Miao discovered this Xiao at the same time. The two of them were afraid of each other, so they sent this Xiao to the Dawn Rain continent and let Master pick this Xiao up. Alas, the entanglement of karma is nothing more than that. Please refer to the outer chapter for the specific details. I won't go into detail here. Seeing Xiaohua casually kill another soul-splitting grandmaster, Lord Zhenyuan, Fairy Xianhua, and the others were shocked. They didn't know what kind of grudge Xiaohua had with Feng Shu. Xiaohua ignored them and raised his hand again, pointing at Chan Si Miao. Chan Si Miao was different from Feng Shu. He didn't curse. Instead, he looked at the black bear spirit and saw Xiaohua. When he saw Xiaohua, Chan Si Miao's face turned pale. When he saw Feng Shu, who was paralyzed on the ground, he couldn't help but sigh. Heaven's net has a wide net, but it doesn't escape. Karma reaps what you sow. Chan Si Miao, I'm sure you still remember this Xiao. Xiaohua asked indifferently. Yes, of course this old man remembers. Chan Si Miao nodded. However, you weren't called Xiaohua at that time. You were called Zhang Xiaohua. And tell me. Xiaohua asked and nodded. I'm sure you know why this Xiao captured you. Chan Si Miao saw that the matter had been exposed, and Xiaohua's strength had far exceeded his expectations. His initial uneasiness had become a reality, so he didn't hide anything. He told Chan Si Miao about how he and Feng Shu met Xiaohua in the demon-resisting valley, and how he and Feng Shu's divine clone let Xiaohua be near the Yellow Flower Ridge. He even told Chan Si Miao about how he found that Xiaohua's seal had loosened, and how he sent Jinren Du Yi to investigate. Xiaohua's soul search was naturally not as detailed as Chan Si Miao's. When he heard Chan Si Miao's words, he nodded and said, You are honest. It seems that you understand your situation now. I don't care about the situation anymore. Chan Si Miao shook his head. I only feel that cultivators like us should face the tribulation of the heavenly Tao head-on. Even if we can't overcome it, we should perish with a bang. Unorthodox methods will always be unorthodox methods. They can't be brought to the table. Moreover, these unorthodox methods will backfire if we're not careful. And being able to cultivate to the spirit-severing stage in this life is not bad. Xiaohua said indifferently. Since you have repented before you die, this old man will allow your soul to enter the cycle of reincarnation. Kill yourself. Chan Si Miao's body trembled. He looked at Feng Shu, who was lying on the ground, and understood something. He bowed and said, This one thanks Master Xiao. After he finished speaking, Chan Si Miao sat down cross-legged and stopped breathing. Xiaohua sighed and looked at the corpses of the two spirit-severing stage cultivators. He waved his hand and two streams of true samadhi fire landed on them. He said, If you knew this would happen, why did you do it in the first place? Lord Zhenyuan, Fairy Xianhua, Reverend Lei Meng, and the others stood at the side in fear. They had already heard the grudge between Xiaohua and Feng Shu and Chan Si Miao. They already understood why Xiaohua had to kill the two spirit-severing stage cultivators. This method of soul-searching before possessing the bodies of the two spirit-severing stage cultivators was truly infuriating. They also didn't think that Xiaohua had gone overboard in forcing the two spirit-severing stage cultivators. If it were them, they might not have allowed Chan Si Miao to die peacefully. Godfather. At this moment, Xiang Zhili, Wuqing, and Cui Yingying walked out of the cave. Seeing the corpses being burned by the true samadhi fire, Xiang Zhili shouted in surprise. What are you doing? Nothing, Xiaohua said with a smile. This old man has another karma. You all came at the right time. This old man is about to leave. All of you come with me. Yes, Godfather. Xiang Zhili hurriedly replied. Master's wife, this disciple has something to do and will leave first. When I have time, I will come back to see you. Xiaohua's body flew up, and he cupped his hands towards the cave. Junior respectfully sends spiritual master Xiao off. Lord Zhenyuan, Fairy Xianhua, and the others hurriedly bowed. All of you cultivate diligently. Black Bear Spirit, Wuxia, and the others flew up with Xiaohua. In just a short moment, they had already turned into black dots. Xiaohua's voice sounded again. In the future, the Dawn Rain continent will no longer be peaceful. Yes, Junior understands. No one dared to stand up and they replied. Junior thanks Spiritual Master Xiao for teaching us. At the same time, Xiaohua's voice sounded in Lei Meng Daoist's ears again. Lei Meng Daoist, you and this old man have long been connected by fate. Since then you have taken great care of this old man. Junior naturally has to repay you generously. However, in front of Fairy Xianhua and the others, this old man can't tell you too much. The things in your storage pouch are different from others. There are lightning cultivation techniques, elixirs, immortal peaches, and other things. You don't have to ask others and just focus on cultivating. In addition, if there is anything you don't understand about the lightning escape technique, feel free to ask Xiang Zhili. This old man has already explained it to him in detail. If there is anything you need, you can also ask him. Lei Meng Daoist's body trembled slightly. However, his body did not move and he was no different from the others. When he stood up with the others, Xiaohua and the others had already disappeared. The protective formation of the Imperial Thunder Sect was nothing in Xiaohua's eyes. A profound expression appeared in Lei Meng Daoist's eyes. At this time, Zhuo Wu and the others hurriedly flew out and looked at the place where Xiaohua disappeared with melancholy. Vote for it, give it a recommendation vote, collect it, and give it a tip. Chapter 5163. Sect Master Seniors. Seeing this, Cui Hongshan took the opportunity to bow and said, Daoist Xiao left behind some rare spirit fruits. Would seniors like to enter his cultivation cave for a chat? Without waiting for Fairy Xianhua to speak, Master Zhen Yuan laughed and said, This old man accompanied Daoist Xiao's pet for a walk and didn't taste anything good. It doesn't matter if you all want to go or not, this old man is going. Senior has worked hard to guide Lier. Cui Hongshan hurriedly said respectfully. There are still some immortal peaches in the cultivation cave. Senior, please. Since Senior has left them behind, Junior doesn't dare to compete with Senior. Fairy Xianhua smiled and said, These immortal peaches are immortal items. Senior should eat more of them. However, Hall Master Cui, this matter is a secret of my Imperial Lightning Sect. You must not leak it, otherwise, it will cause endless trouble. Cui Hongshan's heart trembled. He hurriedly bowed and said, Yes, disciple understands. Soon after, Zhuo Hongshan accompanied Master Zhen Yuan into the cultivation cave. Fairy Xianhua and the others hurriedly left. Although the Imperial Lightning Sect wasn't in a mess, there were many things left behind. They didn't dare to neglect them. Zhong Haoran, Fei Yunshu, and Zhong Zhan were outside the Sky Patrol City discussing how to join forces with the Chu Hong faction and other Fortune Gate disciples who worshipped Xiaohua to besiege the Sky Patrol City. Yi Clan's young lord Yi Shixiang went to meet Su Yinyun and Yun Clan's patriarch Yin Qingchong. Let's talk about a place with beautiful scenery in the Ripple country. A towering mountain range that reached into the clouds was like a divine dragon crawling among the mountains. This mountain ridge seemed to stand out from the rest, but the mountains within a radius of 10,000 li were like stars surrounding the moon, firmly protecting this mountain ridge. Under the cover of the moonlight, faint waves of light, invisible to the naked eye, surged past these mountains like a spring, falling into this huge mountain ridge. Once the moonlight shone into the mountain, it immediately split into a dozen or so strands and seeped into various parts of the mountain through the formation. Obscure ripples spread out from various parts of the formation, forming a thin barrier that firmly protected the entire mountain. The formation was rather similar to the Capital Star Formation. Gigi, an azure ape that was more than 100 feet tall, suddenly rushed out from the foot of the mountain. Using both its arms and legs, it pounced on a dangerous path on the mountain ridge. Unfortunately, the azure ape had only climbed 1,000 feet when a silver light flashed from the array. The azure ape's figure disappeared from the dangerous path. When it reappeared, the azure ape had already fallen to the bottom of the mountain ridge. Gigi. The azure ape seemed to be puzzled, but its slightly clear eyes gave birth to a firm determination. It growled a few times, and that hissing sound spread particularly far in the night. Then, without hesitation, the azure ape stretched out both its arms and legs and climbed up the dangerous path. Just behind the azure ape, an old man dressed in a Taoist robe stood quietly in midair watching. Seeing that the azure ape had already rushed up the dangerous path for the 100th time, the old man couldn't help but sigh. This azure ape's heart is firm and persistent, but it is after all a spirit beast. Can our Kunlun sect leader accept this azure ape? Even if the azure ape climbs for another 100 days, I'm afraid it will still be in vain. After sighing, the old man's figure moved. Just as he was about to fly out to stop the explanation, he heard a mournful sound behind him. A small flying shuttle flew over like a meteor. Behind the flying shuttle was a long blood-colored tail. Blood shuttle? The old man saw the flying shuttle approaching and cried out involuntarily. He didn't dare to be negligent and hurriedly took out a fist-sized bowl-shaped magic weapon. Under the urging of his transcendence energy, the magic weapon turned into a bright yellow net-like object and rushed into the air. Puff! The flying shuttle was originally flying somewhere else, but at this time, it was attracted by the net-like object and fell into it. With a dull sound, the flying shuttle stopped in the old man's hand. The old man picked up the flying shuttle and probed it with his divine sense. His expression changed again, and he said in surprise, "What? There's actually the sect leader's spirit mirror in this blood ridge? Which disciple sent this message back? Who dares to use the sect leader's spirit mirror? Doesn't he know that this sect leader's spirit mirror can't be used unless it's the most urgent news in the sect? Even I have only seen it hundreds of years ago in the sword battle, and the battle of Imperial Demon Valley. Io, is it Guyunzi? Not good, it should be the sect's urgent message." When he saw the mark left behind by Guyunzi in the blood shuttle, the elder lost his cool. He did not dare to hesitate any longer. He could not care less about enlightening the azure ape. He soared into the sky and dove into the formation on the mountain ridge. Looking at the azure ape again, it had also been alarmed by the sound of Shuelung earlier. It stood on the dangerous path and turned its head. When it saw the old man's figure, it could not help but grin. But before it could finish laughing, the old man flew into the mountain ridge above its head. The azure ape was stunned at first. It looked at the mountain ridge for a long time without saying a word, as if it couldn't understand. After a while, the azure ape climbed up the dangerous path again. Although it was sent to the bottom of the mountain after a while, the azure ape's every move was full of determination. Above the mountain ridge was a different kind of paradise. First, there was a majestic archway and gate. Then there was a palace that stretched for thousands of miles. In the palace, many celestial birds and strange beasts crawled under the bright moonlight, and the palace was shrouded in a faint moonlight. The old man rushed up the mountain ridge. He didn't dare to be negligent and flew straight to a simple palace in the center. Inside the palace was another large hall. There were no pillars in the hall, and the ground was paved with bluestone. Each bluestone was neither big nor small, and it was a full 100 feet. There were faint runes engraved on the bluestone. At this time, under the brilliance of the pearl, there were faint traces of clouds and multicolored light flowing. Looking at the four walls of the hall, there were pictures of the primitive wasteland. These pictures of the primitive wasteland seemed to be engraved, but they also seemed to be illusions. When one's gaze fell, the strange scenes on the pictures were vivid and lifelike. At this time, there were many cultivators standing in the hall. These cultivators were either nascent soul or late golden core. They were whispering in groups of 3 to 5. At the head of the hall, a late nascent soul old man with white hair and a youthful face was sitting on a jade chair. He was holding a jade slip in his hand. He also turned his head and said to a mid-nascent soul old man beside him. That nascent soul old man nodded slightly, as if he agreed with the late nascent soul old man. The late nascent soul old man picked up a jade slip at the side and looked at it. Then he looked up and said with a smile, "Everyone." When the late nascent soul old man spoke, all the cultivators shut their mouths. The hall quieted down. All the cultivators looked at each other and moved to a few rows. In the first row, a middle-aged man in a black robe bowed and asked, "Sect Master, do you have a plan?" The old man didn't answer. Instead he asked, Sha Kongzi, you are now the palace master of Yuxiang Palace. What do you think of the things in this jade slip? Sha Kongzi didn't hesitate and said, reporting to sect master, although my Kunlun sect isn't one of the top sects in the Donrain continent, it is still one of the top 3 sects in the Lian country. It is one of the top sects in the Lian country. Others may not know the long history of my Kunlun sect, but I know that my Kunlun sect is different from other sects. My Kunlun sect's orthodoxy has been passed down since the ancient times. The reason why it has been able to prosper for so long is naturally because my Kunlun sect upholds justice and believes that we are the orthodox Taoist sect rules. Right now, in my Donrain continent, Taoist cultivators are having internal strife, sword cultivators are trying their best to expand, and the heavenly demon sect is causing trouble. My Kunlun sect should stand on its own and take on the responsibility to advance. Not only must we stabilize the various Taoist sects in my Lian country, we must also lead the movements of the sects in the 3 countries. Looking at this jade slip, it actually wants my Kunlun sect to send out disciples to support some Immortal Alliance Arbitration Hall's arbitration order. This so-called arbitration order, although this disciple doesn't know what it is, this arbitration order is related to the Rock Border sect. Moreover, the Immortal Alliance only had an effect during the battle of the Imperial Demon Valley. When did they start to meddle in my Lian country's affairs? Therefore, this disciple feels that my Kunlun sect absolutely cannot send out disciples to be the accomplice of a villain. The late nascent soul stage old man sitting on the jade chair was naturally the Kunlun sect's sect master Xianjing. He looked at Sha Kongzi with a smile and didn't say anything. After Sha Kongzi finished speaking, he looked at the other cultivators and asked, "What about you all?" Reporting to sect master. Another early nascent soul stage cultivator bowed and said, according to this disciple's opinion, although the Immortal Alliance was in existence that was dispatched during the Immortal Demon War, in the past 1,000 years, the Immortal Alliance has expanded a lot. According to reliable information, many cultivators with good aptitudes have joined the Immortal Alliance. Obviously, this Immortal Alliance will play a big role in the future. In particular, there are high-level cultivators in the Immortal Alliance. Each of them is an elder of each sect, and can be considered as a person who can summon the wind and summon the rain in the Donrain continent. If we don't accept the arbitration order and offend the Immortal Alliance, then it's my Kunlun sect looking for trouble. Also, since the Immortal Alliance issued the arbitration order, it's also the Alliance Master's intention. If my Kunlun sect doesn't support the Alliance Master's arbitration order, what do the other sects think? Dao Master Xinghui. Xianjing smiled and said, I only said that this arbitration order was issued by the Immortal Alliance. I didn't say that it was issued by my Kunlun sect's Dao Master Xianqing. The cultivator named Dao Master Xinghui stared blankly and asked curiously, since it wasn't issued by the Alliance Master, then why is it called the Immortal Alliance's arbitration order? Xianjing looked at the middle nascent soul stage cultivator beside him and said, Fu Yuzi, you received this jade slip. Explain it to Dao Master Xinghui. Yes, Sect Master. The cultivator named Fu Yuzi agreed. He cleared his throat and looked at everyone and said, Actually, this jade slip wasn't issued to my Kunlun sect. It was issued to Sect Master alone. After I got the jade slip, I hurriedly reported it to Sect Master. After he looked at it, he let I publicize it to everyone. Dao Master Xinghui's brows furrowed even tighter. He asked curiously, since it's a message from the Immortal Alliance, why send it to Sect Master alone? Could it be that there's something fishy about it? P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please go to Qidian to subscribe to support, vote for a month, vote for a recommendation, collect, reward. Thank you for all forms of support. Thank you to Only Smoking Half of Gold Nanjing for the reward and thank everyone for their support. Tonight's update was a temporary adjustment, so it was delayed. Sorry. Chapter 5164. Of course. Fuyuezi nodded. After reading the contents of the jade slip, I immediately prepared to go to Jade Tripod Peak to see Taoist Xianqing. However, before I could leave, Taoist Xianqing's servant sent a message. Everyone take a look. With that, Fuyuezi handed another jade slip to Daoist Xinghui. Daoist Xinghui looked at it and was dumbfounded. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Is this the so-called Immortal Alliance arbitration order? Isn't this bullying the Imperial Thunder Sect? No wonder Daoist Xianqing reminded us. After Daoist Xinghui finished speaking, he handed the jade slip to Sha Kongzi and the others. After reading it, everyone's expression changed. Fuyuezi took back the jade slip and said again, I believe that after you read the contents of the jade slip about the Immortal Alliance arbitration order, you feel that it's inconceivable, right? But in fact, this is a real arbitration order issued by the Judgment Hall controlled by my Immortal Alliance's deputy leader, Luo Xingtian. And this arbitration order has already been sent to the Imperial Thunder Sect. In particular, the Immortal Alliance's leader, Daoist Xianqing, doesn't know about this arbitration order and everything about the Judgment Hall. That is, when Lei Yunzi of the Imperial Thunder Sect didn't hesitate to shorten his lifespan and used the Thunder Escape technique to come to my Kunlun sect to see Daoist Xianqing to verify it. Daoist Xianqing was still in the dark. Therefore, when Daoist Xianqing knew about this, not only did he immediately send his disciple to follow Lei Yunzi to the Imperial Thunder Sect, but he also ordered his servant to explain this matter to the sect leader. See, when Fuyuezi said this, Sha Kongzi sucked in a breath of cold air and exclaimed, Sect Master, if this is the case, then this jade slip should have been personally sent to Sect Master by Vice Alliance leader Luo of the Immortal Alliance. The meaning behind this is too great. That's right. A complicated expression appeared on Xianjing's face. He used the bone tip of his index finger to knock on the jade chair and said, If this jade slip is not a test, then it is a warning. Our deputy chief Luo is unwilling to be left out and wants to make a move. Yes. Fuyuezi's face revealed a worried expression. Looking at Xianjing, he continued, It's normal for this jade slip to be sent to the various sects of the Xiaoyu continent's 3 countries, but it can't be sent to my Kunlun sect. Since Luo Xingtian dares to send it to the Kunlun sect, it means that his wings are full. He doesn't put our Kunlun sect's immortal Xianqing in his eyes. Alas! Xianjing sighed, and then he raised his eyes to look out of the hall and said worriedly, Yes. Since the country of Xi's splendid sect, Qiqiao sect, and Xuanyan sect had been persuaded, and even the Ruanhua sect, which had a good relationship with the Imperial Thunder sect, had taken action, the country of Xi had most likely fallen into the hands of the falling star heaven. We still don't know the situation in the Meng Nation, but since the Kunlun sect has received the jade slip, the Utopia faction in the Lian Nation must have also received it. What are their reactions? Luo Xingtian is the deputy leader of the Immortal Allies, and the other deputy leaders are Immortal Huanhua of the Taiqing sect and Ji Fengzi of the Splendid sect. Since the Splendid sect had taken action, Ji Fengzi was naturally persuaded by Luo Xingtian. Immortal Huanhua is a senior at the late stage of the void refining realm, and his cultivation is comparable to Ji Fengzi's. So, the only person that Luo Xingtian has scruples about is Immortal Xianqing of our Kunlun sect. Immortal Xianqing is at the early stage of the form synthesis realm, but under the change of the spiritual qi of heaven and earth, he doesn't dare to use too much magic. Although he already knows the ambition of Luo Xingtian, it's probably too late to make a move now. Luo Xingtian's jade slip is most likely to test the attitude of Immortal Xianqing. If the Kunlun sect doesn't agree, Luo Xingtian may not stop. Then, he will definitely unite with other forces to deal with the Kunlun sect. At this point, Xianjing's finger tapped on the jade chair, and he didn't say anything more. Fuyuezi looked at Xianjing and said, Of course, according to the background of the Kunlun sect, Luo Xingtian won't dare to make a move on the Kunlun sect easily. However, from various signs, the Imperial Thunder sect has already been harmed. Luo Xingtian certainly won't be the head of the Imperial Thunder sect. He will most likely choose a suitable cultivator to take charge of the Imperial Thunder sect. Moreover, with Luo Xingtian's forbearance, this cultivator himself is also a disciple of the Imperial Thunder sect. Of course, the Shanghua sect, Qiqiao sect, Xuanyan school, and Huanhua sect won't make a wasted trip. They will also get some benefits from the Imperial Thunder sect. However, these benefits will be returned to Luo Xingtian sooner or later. The Imperial Thunder sect is the first unlucky one, and this Rock Border sect is the second unlucky one. The Utopia sect and Xiantian sect may not let go of this good opportunity to curry favor with Luo Xingtian. Yes. Sha Kongzi also nodded thoughtfully. After all, our Kunlun sect has immortal Xianqing. Although the Utopia sect and Xiantian sect are stronger than our Kunlun sect, they are also very afraid of our Kunlun sect. They are very likely to seek refuge with Luo Xingtian. Therefore, Xianjing's index finger tapped on the jade chair again and said, "In front of our Kunlun sect, there are two choices. One is to stay out of harm's way and uphold our Kunlun sect's consistent inheritance, rejecting Luo Xingtian. The other is to wallow in the mire with them and protect our Kunlun sect." Sha Kongzi didn't wait for Xianjing to finish and immediately shouted, "Sect leader, if we choose to wallow in the mire with them, will our Kunlun sect still be the Kunlun sect from before? I choose to stay out of harm's way and reject the temptation of Luo Xingtian." "That's right." Immortal Xinghui, who was also somewhat hesitant, nodded and said, "I didn't understand before, but now I understand. Our Kunlun sect must do the most righteous thing. We must not lose ourselves because of the coercion and temptation of Luo Xingtian. I also choose to reject it." "Not necessarily." A beginner nascent soul stage disciple shook his head and said, "Sect leader, it's easy to reject, but our Kunlun sect has to consider the layout of Luo Xingtian. If the Utopia faction and Xiantian sect agree, the Nanming sect and Exotic Beast sect will definitely agree. In Lian country, our Kunlun sect will be isolated. Xi country has already fallen into the hands of Luo Xingtian, and Ming country is also a matter of time. Our Kunlun sect can't fight against all the Taoist sects alone." Immediately, everyone spoke one after another, and Xianjing heard everything. Although some people agreed, most of them chose to reject. At this time, Sha Kongzi suddenly looked around and asked curiously, "Where's Gu Yunzi? He's the most scheming person in our Kunlun sect. How can he not come?" Fuyuezi smiled and said, "Gu Yunzi took a leave of absence. I'm afraid it'll be some time before he returns." This guy. Immortal Xinghui seemed to have a very good relationship with Gu Yunzi. He mocked. At such a critical moment, he actually ran away. Fuyuezi said again. "It's said that he went to the country of Xi. Maybe there'll be more information after he comes back?" After saying that, Fuyuezi thought for a while and looked at everyone. He turned to Xianjing and said, "Sect leader, in fact, besides rejecting, we should also discuss with the Utopia faction and the Xiantian sect. Maybe they'll have other ideas." Xianjing nodded with a smile and said, "Yes, Immortal Xianqing has already sent his disciples to various sects to invite the seniors of the celestial allies who are on good terms with him to come over and discuss." Sect leader. Sha Kongzi came to his senses and said hurriedly, "That is to say, you've already made a decision?" "Yes." Xianjing stood up and nodded. "Our Kunlun sect prides itself on being orthodox. Of course, we can't." Before Xianjing could finish his words, outside the main hall, a voice sounded, reporting to sect leader, "The disciple on duty, Gu Yunzi has sent a message back with the blood shuttle, and the sect leader's spiritual mirror is on the blood shuttle." "Ha!" After hearing that, Xianjing wasn't surprised. He said with a smile, "Speaking of Gu Yunzi has sent a message. If I'm not mistaken, it should be about the Imperial Thunder sect. Bring it in." "Yes." There was a response outside the door, and then the hall door opened. The old man at the foot of the mountain came in respectfully and bowed. "Disciple Hoqing greets sect leader." "Yes, get up." Xianjing raised his hand and said, "It's already late at night, and you're still on duty outside the array. It's really hard on you. Disciple has failed to live up to sect leader's praise." Hoqing stood up and said, "This is disciple's duty. I dare not make any mistakes." As he spoke, Hoqing handed over the blood shuttle in his hand and said carefully, "When disciple was on duty outside the array, I saw a gray ape trying to climb up Kunlun Mountain. I watched for a long time, and was about to stop it when I saw a blood shuttle flying by. I hurriedly picked it up. After checking it, I knew it was a message from Senior Gu Yunzi. I didn't dare to neglect it and left the gray ape to report." "Gray ape?" Xianjing was stunned and asked curiously, "Why did the gray ape climb up Kunlun Mountain? It might be a spiritual beast." Ho Qing replied in a low voice, "I don't know the details." Xianjing took the blood shuttle and sat down with a smile. He said, "It seems that my Kunlun sect is full of righteousness. Even spiritual beasts can perceive it." "Yes, yes." Ho Qing hurriedly nodded and smiled. "My Kunlun mountain is so beautiful that even spiritual beasts admire it." "Well, you deal with the matter of the gray ape." Xianjing formed a seal, and a silvery light swayed into the blood shuttle. Seeing the blood shuttle emitting a 5-colored light, Xianjing released his divine sense to check and said faintly, "If it's sentient, you might as well lead it in." However, before he finished speaking, Xianjing suddenly stood up from the jade chair and exclaimed, "Ah? What's wrong?" Fuyuezi next to him had never seen Xianjing lose his composure like this. He couldn't help but wonder, could it be that Gu Yunzi's message is not from the Imperial Thunder Sect? Xianjing ignored Fuyuezi, but said in an incredible tone, "Imperial Thunder Sect Xiaohua is back." After that, Xianjing didn't explain. He released his divine sense and concentrated on looking at the things inside the jade slip. Xiaohua? Who is Xiaohua? Spiritual Master Xing Hui obviously didn't know Xiaohua. He asked curiously, "Is his return worthy of Sect Master's surprise?" Fuyuezi was also a little puzzled. He wanted to ask Xianjing, but seeing Xianjing's concentrated look, he didn't dare to disturb. On the other hand, Sha Kongzi was no stranger to Xiaohua. He was the one who brought Hanju to Taiqing sect during the Feather Immortal Assembly. Sha Kongzi smiled and said, "Speaking of this Xiaohua, this old man knows a little. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please go to Qidian to subscribe to support, vote for a month, vote for a recommendation, collect, reward, and thank all forms of support." Chapter 5165. Seeing Sha Kongzi reminiscing about the past, Fuyuezi looked at Ho Qing and waved his hand, indicating for him to leave. Ho Qing hastily bowed and saluted. He turned around and left. Who Xiaohua was, he didn't care. He also didn't care about what was recorded inside the jade strip. He was nothing more than a disciple on duty. The only thing he could do was to look after the Kunlun sect's door. While he was at it, he could also give that azure ape who wholeheartedly pursued the Tao a little bit of destiny. After Sha Kongzi finished explaining Xiaohua's origin, Xianjing didn't withdraw his divine sense from the jade slip. Instead, he was ecstatic. A faint pressure leaked out from his body from time to time, as if he was trying out some secret technique. Fuyuezi, who was standing guard beside Xianjing, sighed. "This Xiaohua is really unlucky. Of all the times to come back, why did he have to come back now? Isn't he just looking for trouble?" Taoist Xing Hui smiled. "Senior is wrong. Xiaohua is no longer a disciple of the Imperial Thunder Sect. He can just stand by and watch the Imperial Thunder Sect become a joke." Xiaohua's matter was already a big joke in the Imperial Thunder Sect. Sha Kongzi nodded. The Imperial Thunder Sect kicked out a nascent Soul Realm cultivator, and now that Xiaohua has returned. At this point, a smart nascent Soul Realm cultivator suddenly said in surprise, "Yes, why did Xiaohua not come back earlier or later? Why did he come back now? Could it be that he has been in the Immortal Union all these years? Isn't the Imperial Thunder Sect's sect master arranged by Luo Xingtian him?" "Yes, yes." Fuyuezi suddenly slapped his forehead and said, "This old man also remembered that Fairy Hongxia and the Yi clan's young master were engaged in the Imperial Thunder Sect. The Fortune Sect's sect master issued a summoning order and prepared to lead the disciples to besiege the Sky Patrol City. Fairy Hongxia and the Yi clan's young master are engaged?" Sha Kongzi was stunned. He felt that it was a little inconceivable and said, "Back then, Fairy Hongxia didn't hesitate to fall out with the Cleansing Flower Sect's Yin Jichong for Xiaohua. How could she? This Xiaohua's ambition is not small." Taoist Xing Hui randomly asserted. "He is probably Luo Xingtian's right-hand man." "Shut up." Without waiting for Taoist Xing Hui's words, Xianjing roared and scolded Taoist Xing Hui. "Don't blindly guess if you don't know. Don't say things you shouldn't. You listen to me clearly. It's Xiaohua, Taoist Master Xiao, who has the strength to cross the tribulation, has returned to the Dawn Rain continent. Yes, yes. It was rare for Daoist Xing Hui to see Xianjing so angry, so he hurriedly bowed and said, "Disciple understands, disciple." When he spoke up to hear, Daoist Xing Hui suddenly raised his head and said, "What did sect master say?" There was Daoist Xiao who had the strength to transcend the tribulation? You're not wrong, are you? Previously, Xianjing's words were originally berating spiritual master Xing Hui. He said it in a hurry, and everyone heard it vaguely. At this time, when spiritual master Xing Hui asked, everyone's faces changed greatly. They also came to their senses and looked at Xianjing. Xianjing took a deep breath and did not answer Reverend Xing Hui. Instead, he turned to look at Fu Yuzi and instructed, quickly send a disciple, no personally, no or." Seeing Xianjing at a loss, Fu Yuzi was also puzzled. Looking at the jade slip in Xianjing's hand, he whispered, "Sect master, you don't have to panic. Even if Xiao Hua has the strength to transcend the tribulation, he is also, he was also a disciple of the Imperial Thunder sect. He has nothing to do with my Kunlun sect." Xianjing took a deep breath and transmitted his voice. Gu Yunzi sent a message. He saw Xiao Hua in the Fire Mountain. Now Xiao Hua already has the strength of the Mahayana or transcending tribulation. For some reason, Xiao Hua looked at Gu Yunzi favorably and gave a disciple selection method to my Kunlun sect. Ah? Hearing this, Fu Yuzi unconsciously became happy and transmitted his voice. Isn't this solving the urgent problem of my Kunlun sect? Not only that. Xianjing said again. In addition to this method of selecting spiritual roots, Xiao Hua also gave a whole set of nascent soul cultivation methods from qi refinement to transcending tribulation, and some secret techniques to my Kunlun sect. Ah? Fu Yuzi lost his voice and forgot to transmit his voice. How is this possible? After saying that, Fu Yuzi realized something and hurriedly looked around, as if he understood Xianjing's concern. Sure enough, Xianjing transmitted his voice again. Now those cultivation method jade slips are with Gu Yunzi. In this jade slip, there is only the method of selecting spiritual roots, and a complete section of spirit severing cultivation method. Gu Yunzi sent a message, asking me to quickly complete the disciple selection. He is afraid that Xiao Hua will spread these cultivation methods, and my Kunlun sect will lose the opportunity. I understand. Fu Yuzi nodded and replied. Sect master wants me to send disciples to welcome Gu Yunzi, but he feels that the disciples are not doing things properly and wants me to go personally. But if I go personally, it will attract the attention of other sects, so he wants Gu Yunzi to come back by himself. But if I let Gu Yunzi come back by himself, I am afraid that something will happen on the way. Yes. Xianjing nodded and transmitted his voice. I have already thought it through. You immediately take this jade slip to find immortal Xianqing, and ask him to go out of the mountain to find Gu Yunzi. After immortal Xianqing goes, you take my sect master's order and start recruiting disciples as soon as possible. According to this method of selecting spiritual roots, no matter which country the disciples are from, the more the better. Okay. Fu Yuzi nodded and raised his hand to take the jade slip. He transmitted his voice. Disciple will go now. Oh, in fact, if so, sect master might as well go see immortal Xianqing himself. Xianjing was just about to hand the jade slip to Fu Yuzi, but he remembered something and engraved the cultivation method in the jade slip into another blank jade slip. Then he handed the jade slip to Fu Yuzi and said, Of course it is suitable for me to go. But if Xiao Hua comes back, won't Imperial Thunder sect be lively? Naturally, I will take Kunlun sect disciples to Imperial Thunder sect. Yes, it should be so. Fu Yuzi took the jade slip and nodded. I just heard from Sha Kongzi that Immortal Xiao is very sentimental. Starfall Sky attacked Imperial Thunder sect. How can Immortal Xiao let it go? Since my Kunlun sect has chosen to fight Starfall Sky, we will start with Imperial Thunder sect. After saying that, Fu Yuzi cupped his hands and hurriedly walked out of the hall. Xianjing transmitted his voice to Fu Yuzi. Sha Kongzi and the others were confused and didn't know what the two were talking about. But looking at the two's happy faces, they knew it wasn't a bad thing. When Fu Yuzi was about to leave, Immortal Xing Hui hurriedly said, Sect Master, Quickly tell us. How did Immortal Xiao become Senior Du Jia? Yes. Sha Kongzi was even more puzzled and said, when disciples saw Xiao Hua at the Feather Immortal Assembly, he was just a qi refining cultivator. Before Xianjing could speak, Fu Yuzi's surprised voice came from outside the hall. Ho Qing Yu, why are you here again? Ho Qing's voice sounded, reporting to Senior. Disciple received the blood shuttle message from Immortal Yu Huan, which also has Sect Master's spirit mirror. Immortal Yu Huan? Fu Yuzi was even more puzzled. Isn't he a disciple of Immortal Xianqing? Hearing this, Xianjing shouted, quickly bring the blood shuttle message in. Fu Yuzi, quickly do your own thing, don't delay. Yes, Sect Master. Fu Yuzi's heart trembled, and he hurriedly flew out of the hall. Immediately after, Ho Qing came in again and respectfully handed over the blood shuttle message, saying, Disciple just flew out of the mountain gate, and was about to enlighten the Azure Ape. Hearing Ho Qing mention the Azure Ape again, Xianjing didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He waved his hand and said, There's no need to mention the Azure Ape again, you can make the decision yourself. Thank you, Sect Master. Ho Qing hurriedly bowed, and explained the process of him receiving the blood shuttle message. Seeing that Ho Qing didn't see any other disciples along the way, Xianjing was relieved. He took the blood shuttle and inserted the incantation. Looking at the multicolored rays of light, he instructed, Ho Qing, you received 2 blood shuttle messages today. Your contribution isn't small. This seat will definitely reward you handsomely. Quickly go and collect the Azure Ape, then return to the Clear Sound Hall and wait. Yes, disciple understands. Ho Qing was overjoyed. He didn't know that Xianjing was afraid that he would leak the news and wanted him to return. So he hurriedly accepted the order and left. After Ho Qing left, everyone in the hall couldn't remain calm. They stared at the jade slip in Xianjing's hand, waiting for him to analyze it. Xianjing took a deep breath and extended his divine sense. After looking for a moment, a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Lord Sect Master. Sha Kongzi couldn't help but wail. What news did Taoist Yuhuan send? If you want to find someone to send a message, you might as well tell disciple. Huh? Xianjing laughed loudly. Taoist Yuhuan doesn't need to send a message back because soon all the cultivators in the entire Dawn Rain continent will know. Oh, what news? Taoist Xing Hui asked curiously. Could it be Taoist Xianqing's alliance head command token? Ha ha ha. Xianjing was still laughing. He looked at everyone and said, Tonight, we discussed and worried for half the night, but it was all in vain. Lord Sect Master. What do you mean? A nascent soul cultivator asked curiously. Could it be that Taoist Xianqing sent an order for us to? Suddenly, Sha Kongzi exclaimed. I understand it's Taoist Xiao Hua. That's right. Xianjing nodded and said, Taoist Yuhuan was the senior that Taoist Xianqing sent to tail Lei Yunzi. He wasn't as fast as senior Lei Yunzi's lightning escape technique, so by the time he arrived at the Imperial Thunder Sect, everything had already been settled. The 2 spirit-severing stage seniors of the Imperial Thunder Sect, Lei Yunzi and Lei Yunzi, died at the end of their lifespans. The Immortal Alliance's deputy leader, Luo Xingtian, and a spirit-severing stage subordinate were killed by Taoist Xiao with a single palm strike. Elder Sun Yunzi of the Splendid Flower Sect was forced to commit suicide by Taoist Xiao. The disciples of the Splendid Flower Sect, Xuanyan School, 7 Skills Sect, and Cleansing Flower Sect were defeated by Taoist Zhao's Fortune Gate disciples. Finally, there were rumors from the Imperial Thunder Sect that the 2 spirit-severing stage seniors, Feng Shu of the Immortal Ascension School, and Chan Si Miao of the Immortal Music Sect, were captured by Taoist Zhao's spirit pets and brought to the Myriad Lightning Valley of the Imperial Thunder Sect because they searched Taoist Zhao's soul. One was killed by Taoist Xiao personally, and the other committed suicide out of regret. Taoist Xiao allowed him to enter the cycle of reincarnation. Oh my God! Everyone was dumbfounded. Sha Kongzi couldn't help but moan. Those were 4 spirit-severing stage seniors, and 1 void refinement stage senior. Ah, how did they turn into ashes in front of Taoist Xiao? P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, vote for it, give it a recommendation vote, collect it and give it a tip. Chapter 5166. He deserved to die, he deserved it. Daoist Xinghui said, Luo Xingtian and Sun Yunzi plotted against the Imperial Thunder Sect. They deserved retribution. 2 Divine Transformation Realm seniors from the Immortal Ascension Gate and Immortal Music Sect actually attacked a Qi Refinement Realm Cultivator. That's a little shameless. Sha Kongzi echoed. When Daoist Yuhuan rushed to the Imperial Thunder Sect, Daoist Xiao was no longer in the Leimo Mountains. According to Fairy Xianhua, he had already led the Fortune Gate's disciples to the Sky Patrol City. Xianjing continued. Therefore, when Daoist Yuhuan returned to the Kunlun Mountains, he sent a blood shuttle message, waiting for me to make a decision. Sect Master. A nascent soul cultivator suddenly asked. Weren't the Fortune Gate's disciples besieging the sword cultivators in the Sky Patrol City? Why did they return to the country of Xi? Moreover, how could the Fortune Gate's disciples fight against the country of Xi's 4 sects? This Fortune Gate's disciple is not the Fortune Gate's disciple. Xianjing smiled faintly and said, These are the Fortune Gate's disciples led by Daoist Xiao. It is said that most of them are Golden Core Realm cultivators, and there are hundreds of thousands of them. How could the Fortune Gate's disciples in the main country compare to them? Oh my! All the Kunlun sect's disciples were speechless. Hundreds of thousands of Golden Core Realm cultivators. This is the strength to sweep through the 3 countries. Yes. Xianjing smiled and said, with this strength, the Fortune Gate is already the strongest force on the Dawn Rain continent, and Daoist Xiao, who has the strength to pass the tribulation, is the strongest person on the Dawn Rain continent. Thinking about the message Gu Yunzi sent earlier, in the entire Dawn Rain continent, other than the Imperial Thunder Sect, our Kunlun sect is the luckiest. Therefore, everyone, how can we let such a great opportunity slip away in vain? Disciples, listen to my command. Yes. All the cultivators were overjoyed, and they bowed and answered. Sha Kongzi Huizhenzi. Quickly pass down this sect master's order, and gather the Kunlun sect's disciples. This sect master will personally lead them. Xianjing stood up and said excitedly, We will head to the Sky Patrol City to support the Fortune Gate and Daoist Xiao. Yes, disciple understands. Sha Kongzi and the other 5 nascent soul realm cultivators received the order, and hurriedly left. Sect Master, Reverend Xinghui hurriedly called out. Disciple wants to go as well. Xianjing smiled and looked at the other disciples in the hall. You have more important things to do. Stay in Kunlun Mountain, and wait for Fuyuazi's arrangement. Ah, there's something even more important? Daoist Master Xinghui asked curiously. Is it the thing that the sect master used to send a voice transmission to Fuyuazi? Xianjing stretched his body, which was a rare sight. He looked at the dawn outside the main hall and said with a smile, That's right. That matter is really too important to our Kunlun sect. Not only can I not put all my eggs in one basket, but I also have to draw the attention of all the cultivators to Sky Patrol City. Although Perfected Star Hui and the others were puzzled, they did not dare to ask further. They only watched as Xianjing issued the sect master orders. By the time the sun was high up in the sky, groups of Kunlun sect disciples were already fully equipped. Some of them were riding on flying boats, some were riding on flying beasts, and some were even activating their bodies to fly out of Mount Kunlun in groups. Xianjing did not hide his deployment of troops, and even had a hint of fanfare. Therefore, before the Kunlun sect disciples were 100 miles away from Mount Kunlun, the news had already been sent to various places in Lian Country, Ming Country, and even Shi Country. Not to mention that Xianjing of Kunlun sect had received the message from Gu Yunzi and Daoist Yuhuan. He made a prompt decision to personally lead the Kunlun sect disciples to Sky Patrol City. In Sky Patrol City, which was far to the north of the 3 countries of cultivation, in another hall, Yun Guichong was looking at Yi Shixiang in disbelief and exclaimed in a low voice, Young Master Yi, what do you mean? Are you really going to be engaged to Hongxia Fairy? Are you joking with me? Yi Shixiang looked at Yun Guichong lightly and said, Do you think I'm joking with you? Is there a need for me to joke with you? No. Yun Guichong hurriedly waved his hand and said, Young master, don't worry. I just found it unbelievable when I first heard the news. because this is completely different from what we discussed before. I'm not sure what you discuss with my Yi family's patriarch. Yi Shixiang glanced at Yun Jiechong. He didn't care about Yun Jiechong's feelings and said, I'm also not sure why you invited Fairy Hongxia to Sky Patrol City. But since you want me to be engaged to Fairy Hongxia, then I'll really be engaged to her. Whatever you want Hongxia Fairy to do, I'll take care of it. Seeing that Yi Shixiang wanted to turn the pretense into reality, Yun Guicheng felt as if he had smashed his own foot with a rock. He sucked in a breath as if his foot was in pain, and said, Let's not talk about what Hongxia Fairy wants to do for now. I only want to ask young master, do you really want to be engaged to Hongxia Fairy, or are you pretending to be engaged to her? If it's fake, young master doesn't need to. I've discussed it with your patriarch. Among the Fortune Gates forces, 40% belongs to the Yi family. Of course it's real. Yi Shixiang didn't wait for Yun Guicheng to finish and interrupted him, saying impatiently, If it's fake, do I need to tell you? This. Yun Guicheng was tongue-tied and didn't know how to continue. After a while he persuaded in a low voice, Young Master Yi, I'm sure you know that Hongxia Fairy is Xiaohua's Dao companion. In the 1,000 years that Xiaohua has been missing, who knows how many Daoist cultivators have proposed marriage to the Huanhua sect, but Hongxia Fairy didn't agree to any of them. I even heard that a junior of Fairy Baihua's forced her to the door, and even Fairy Baihua nodded. However, Hongxia Fairy would rather commit suicide than agree. In the end, Fairy Baihua's junior had no choice but to give up. Hongxia Fairy clearly still has feelings for Xiaohua, and didn't even give face to Fairy Baihua. Can she agree to you? How can you compare me to those vulgar people? Yi Shixiang snorted disdainfully at Yun Guicheng's words. They only forced her and didn't understand Hongxia Fairy's hardships and bitterness. How can they obtain her heart? They only fancied Hongxia Fairy's beauty and didn't pay attention to Hongxia Fairy's inner beauty and ability. How can they be worthy of Hongxia Fairy? Yun Guicheng didn't think that Yi Shixiang's words were too much, but he still shook his head in disbelief. It's not that I'm looking down on young master, but I understand Hongxia Fairy's single-mindedness. She definitely won't agree to you. Yi Shixiang snorted coldly. Since she's already at Sky Patrol City, it's no longer up to her to agree or not. I'm only giving her a chance to be happy now. If she doesn't want this chance, then I can only take it back. Yun Guicheng saw that he couldn't convince Yi Shixiang, so he could only reply, Young Master Yi, this matter is of great importance and has already deviated from our agreement with the Yi clan. It won't be too late for me to report this matter to that person first. However, before we get a clear answer, our plan will still proceed. Then you'll have to hurry. Yi Shixiang nodded. It's only 10 days before we start. I hope to have an answer before we start. This will be beneficial to both you and me. Sigh, of course. Yun Guicheng sighed. I understand. Then Yun Guicheng didn't dare to delay, and hurriedly left after saluting. Yi Shixiang looked at Yun Guicheng's back with a meaningful smile on his face. What? Young Master Yi, he's really going to be engaged to Hongxia Fairy? Are you sure he's not joking with you? In a hidden location, a similarly astonished exclamation came from a handsome cultivator's mouth. Wasn't this cultivator Yu Tong, the one who had fought a battle of wits and courage with Xiaohua back then? However, Yu Tong was already at the mid-yuanying stage, and time didn't leave any traces on his face. Yun Jiechong smiled bitterly and said helplessly, Senior brother Yu, you're not the only one who was shocked. Even I was so shocked that I was speechless. This was something that had already been discussed. How could he change it just like that? Are you sure he's serious? Yu Tong rolled his eyes and pinched his chin as he said, Did you discover our arrangement and prepare to bargain? How is that possible? Yun Guicheng shook his head vigorously and said, He's only the young master of the Yi clan. He doesn't know about the matter we discussed with the Yi clan master. I saw that this young master was sloppy and didn't seem to care about the clan's affairs. How could he know about our arrangement? Moreover, our plan was very secretive. Even the sword cultivator guarding the Sky Patrol City and the Yi clan master didn't know about it. How could he know? Seeing Yu Tong smiling without saying anything, Yin Jiechong added, Fairy Hongxia is a famous beauty in the Donrain continent. Now she's even a nascent soul grandmaster. There are many male cultivators who have admired her for a long time. I reckon Yi Shixiang's heart was moved when he saw Fairy Hongxia and wanted to dual cultivate with her? Senior martial brother, you must make a decision quickly and inform the Yi clan master as soon as possible. Don't ruin our plan because of this child's selfish desire. Yu Tong stopped smiling and snorted. Don't worry, junior martial brother Yin. We've planned this for nearly 1,000 years. How could it be ruined because of this? Don't worry, I'll arrange. No, I'll go and see the Yi clan master personally. You'd better pay attention to the big formation we've set up. Don't let anything go wrong at the last moment. You're the only person I trust. Don't let me down. Yin Guicheng's expression turned serious. He bowed and said, I've received senior martial brother Yun's kindness and was able to conceive a baby smoothly. Senior martial brother even swore a blood oath to let me benefit from the four spirits' blood curse. What I've done is far less than what senior martial brother has done. I'm working for senior martial brother and also for my own future. How can I not do my best? P.S. Fellow cultivators who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian. Vote for it, vote for it, vote for it, donate it, and thank you for all forms of support. Chapter 5167. Haha. Yu Tong laughed and patted Yin Guicheng's shoulder. Among all the cultivators in the world, who else can I trust if not you? Do you still remember what I said that day? Of course. Yin Guicheng was rather respectful and also rather proud as he said, Senior martial brother once said that on the Donrain continent, with our two clans working together, is there anything we can't do? Now it seems that it's true. I'm always glad that I can work together with senior brother. Since that's the case, there's no need to say more. Yu Tong's smile remained unchanged. He nodded and said, however, the little girl from Tianmen Mountain's Huang family is more troublesome. You have to remind Yi Shixiang not to be careless. Don't let her see any flaws. Yes, I know. Yin Guicheng hurriedly replied. This gold core female cultivator named Huang Mingxiang is very alert. It said that she doubted Yi Shixiang's conditions several times. Yi Shixiang didn't know whether to agree or not, so he racked his brains. However, her strength is only at the late stage of gold core, and she's not pregnant yet. Senior brother, you don't have to worry too much. She's already in Sentry City. In the worst-case scenario, you can directly attack her. Yu Tong thought for a while and replied, her magic power is sealed, and her bloodline will also be affected. It's best to let Huang Mengxiang take the initiative to enter the trap. Of course, if it doesn't work, we can only do this in the end. But the disciple of the Silver Tiger bloodline. Yin Guicheng hesitated slightly and asked in a low voice, Senior brother Yu, the matter is imminent. Haven't you decided yet? Sigh. Yu Tong sighed. He looked at a corner of the space and did not speak for a long time. It was as if he did not hear Yin Jiecheng's question. After half a meal, he finally spoke. I don't feel the slightest burden when I attack others. But when I think about attacking my own son, I feel very troubled. Sometimes, I wish I could grow another brain so that I can come up with a better method. Yes. Yin Guicheng stole a glance at Yu Tong. His eyes turned slightly, and a complicated expression appeared on his face as he replied. Senior brother Yu, you're right. I also hesitated for a long time before I chose Yin Xiaoying. In order to make it up to her, I'm very obedient to her. As long as my Yin family can satisfy her request, I'll agree. Aren't I the same? Yu Tong retracted his gaze and said faintly, however, we can only give them external objects. What they have to pay is their lives. I can't get rid of my guilt. Yin Jiecheng thought for a moment and said, I understand Shixiang's benevolence. However, the situation in the Donrain continent had changed drastically. The sword cultivators had descended from the north, the heavenly demon sect had swept across the four directions, and the various cultivation aristocratic families had awakened their bloodlines. The cultivation sects were old but not rigid. If the Yun family and the Yu family did not rise, They would be destroyed by others in the future. We can only sacrifice ourselves for the greater good. Even if they know about this cruelty, I'm sure they can understand our painstaking efforts. The worry on Yutong's face disappeared. He nodded and said, "In that case, let's choose the Jade Seal song. In a while, I will issue a patriarch's order to make him listen to your arrangements." Yin Guicheng's face lit up. He bowed and said, "Yes, I understand. I'll leave the matter of the four spirits' blood curse to junior brother Yin." Yutong said, "I'll go find the Yi family patriarch now." Yin Guicheng stood up and said respectfully, "I'll remember. I'll go and make the arrangements now." After Yin Guicheng left, Yutong's lips curled into a smile. However, he frowned slightly and muttered to himself, "Damn it! This old fart. What is he planning now?" Previously, he pretended to be mysterious and acted and directed himself to be the young master. After all, this young master is destined to be a disgrace. If the Yi family really had a young master, it would be impossible for him to bear this evil reputation. But now, why does he suddenly want to dual cultivate with Fairy Hongxia? Why does he have to turn a lie into a reality? Could it be that the Kai family has some secret that I don't know? Or could it be that Fairy Hongxia has a secret that I can't see through? After thinking for a moment, Yutong stood up and said coldly in his heart, "No matter what, Fairy Hongxia is the key to the four spirits' blood formation. I can't let that old fart ruin my plan." It was already night time. In Sky Patrol City, the wind and snow were getting heavier. The sword formation guarding Sky Patrol City did not stop the wind and snow, allowing the snowstorm to envelop Sky Patrol City. The streets of Sky Patrol City were still straight and cold. Although the swordsmen were not afraid of the cold, there were only a few people on the long streets. The pale light of the snow reflected the moonlight that occasionally peeked out from the clouds. The weak light shone on a thin, cloaked cultivator. This cultivator did not fly in the air. Instead, he walked steadily on the snow, leaving behind footprints with each step, just like Xiaohua in the past. The cultivator turned a corner and came face to face with a pavilion. The style of the pavilion was simple and unadorned. There was a faint brilliance on it, which seemed to be protected by a restriction. Under this brilliance, the wind and snow could not get close to the pavilion. Even the front of the pavilion was dry, with no snow at all. Sigh. The cultivator walked to the end of the snow and sighed. He lifted his cloak and looked at his face. Wasn't that Yutong? Yutong looked at the ground not far away and whispered, "Humans always want to be comfortable and enjoy." After learning some Dharma spells, they want to go against heaven and earth. Although the wind and snow are cold, it is the chi of heaven and earth. If you can walk in it, you can communicate with heaven and earth, stimulate vitality, and maintain the vitality of the body. This kind of physical tempering can only be felt by living cultivators in the mortal world. Now that the chi of heaven and earth has been isolated by Dharma spells, how can the will of heaven and earth be felt? No wonder there are no Mahayana cultivators on the Dawn Rain continent, let alone tribulation cultivators who are qualified to cross the tribulation and enter the immortal world. Although the Yi clan patriarch, although he is a descendant of the immortal world's lost clan, he doesn't even understand this principle. It seems that it will be difficult for him to achieve great things. However, after whispering, Yutong stepped on the dry ground and shook his head with a wry smile. Forget it. Don't talk about others. If I didn't have the experience of almost having my soul destroyed, how would I know this? Do I know how to cherish these things? Which senior has come to visit my Enlightenment Mountain Manor? Yutong had only taken a few steps when a voice came from the pavilion. Several sword cultivators in sword attire flew out and blocked in front of Yutong. Yutong looked at these swordsmen indifferently and said, "I'm the master of the Yu family. I'm old friends with Elder Yi. Quickly report this." The sword cultivators looked at each other. The first sword cultivator said seriously, "Senior, please know that our master is not in Sky Patrol City." Yutong smiled and took out a token from his chest. He raised his hand and tossed it to the sword cultivator. The sword cultivator took the token and looked at it. He hurriedly returned it respectfully and said with a smile, "Senior, please wait for a moment." I'll quickly report this to my master. Before the sword cultivator could finish, a dignified and old voice came from the pavilion. Fellow Daoist, you, please come to the breeze sword room. I'll be waiting there. Hearing this dignified voice, the sword cultivators hurriedly stood up and answered respectfully. Yes, master. Senior, this way please. The sword cultivator in front then brought Yu Tong into the pavilion while the other sword cultivators disappeared into the darkness. When Yu Tong stepped into a quiet room that was overflowing with sword light, an old man with white hair and beard was standing in the middle of the quiet room. This old man's gaze was like a sword. Thousands of sword lights appeared around him. The sword lights either disappeared into the void or connected with the sword light in the quiet room. If this old man did not intentionally reveal himself, Yu Tong would not be able to notice his existence even if he stood in the quiet room. Yu Tong stood under the sword light and looked at the old man who looked 70% similar to Yi Shixiang. He smiled bitterly in his heart. He knew very well that tonight was just a formality. He had to come, but at the same time, he would not be able to get the answer he wanted. Without waiting for him to speak, the old man frowned and asked, Fellow Daoist, you, didn't Immortal Emissary Wen tell you? Although I'm in Sky Patrol City, if you don't have any urgent matters, you must not come to me. You can look for Shixiang for everything. Otherwise, if you attract the attention of Sky Patrol Sword Sect, Soaring Feather Sect, and Quilted Mountain Sect, I'm afraid it'll be detrimental to my Yi clan's plan. Yu Tong withdrew his gaze and bowed respectfully. Senior Yi, I really didn't want to see you, but there's been a change in the situation. I have no choice but to meet you personally. Oh. When the old man heard this, he was surprised and asked curiously, There's only a dozen days left from the time of our discussion. How could there be a change in the situation? Senior, you really don't know? Yu Tong thought for a moment and asked, Didn't young Master Yi report it? In order to train Shixiang, I didn't tell him that I was in Sky Patrol City. He thought I was still in Enlightenment Mountain Manor in Huan Country. The old man shook his head and said, It would take more than 10 days to send a message from Sky Patrol City to Enlightenment Mountain Manor. Therefore, he thought he wouldn't be able to send a message in time and didn't report it, right? Yu Tong held his chin and hesitated without speaking. The old man asked curiously, Yu Tong, did Shixiang do something wrong to affect my cooperation with Immortal Emissary Wen? Not at the moment. Yu Tong sneered in his heart, but he still went with the flow and said, However, if we let him do whatever he wants, I'm afraid it'll affect it. Oh, why do you say that? The old man asked hurriedly. Did Shixiang do something wrong? If so, Yu Tong, you have to be more tolerant and don't disturb Immortal Emissary Wen. Yes, I haven't reported this to Lord Immortal Emissary yet. Yu Tong nodded and said, After all, it's just a small wish of the young master. He probably wants to use me to explain it to you, right? The old man looked confused and urged, Yu Tong, if you have something to say, just say it. What did Shixiang do? The young master wants to be engaged to Fairy Hongxia, Yu Tong said with a smile. The old man did not look like he was thinking and blurted out. He wanted to be engaged to Fairy Hongxia in the first place. P.S. Fellow cultivators who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian. Vote for it, vote for it, vote for it, give it a tip, and Chapter 5168. The old man paused for a second as if he had understood something. A strange expression appeared on his face as he scolded jokingly. This little brat, this old man understands now. He has taken a fancy to Fairy Hongxia and wants to become sword companions with her. The problem is, Yu Tong smiled bitterly. According to our previous discussion, the engagement between the young lord and Fairy Hongxia is fake news to lure the Fortune Gate's disciples here. It doesn't matter. The old man shrugged and smiled. The Fortune Gate's disciples have already gathered near the Sky Patrol City, and Fairy Hongxia has already lost her usefulness. Her engagement with Shixiang won't affect this matter at all. Moreover, wouldn't it anger the Fortune Gate's disciples even more? Yu Tong said indifferently. If fake news can be used as bait, why would we need to go through so much trouble to invite Fairy Hongxia over? The old man smiled. Yes, didn't this old man say it the other day? Why would I invite Fairy Hongxia over? However, Immortal Emissary Wen didn't agree and demanded that it be true so as not to arouse suspicion. Now that Shi Xiang has made this request, although it seems to be different from what we discussed earlier, it is in line with Immortal Emissary Wen's request. Yu Tong said unhappily, Senior, at this point you shouldn't feign ignorance. If Fairy Hongxia is not useful to Lord Immortal Envoy Wen, why would Lord Immortal Envoy Wen invite Fairy Hongxia to the Sky Patrol City? Haha, Yu Tong. The old man laughed loudly. You're wrong. This old man has never met Immortal Envoy Wen. Everything was passed on by you. Until now, this old man has no idea what use Fairy Hongxia has for Immortal Envoy Wen. Hearing the old man's words, Yu Tong's displeasure disappeared and he smiled. So Senior doesn't know? Ah. Then this junior has wrongly accused Senior. This junior thought that Lord Immortal Envoy Wen had already explained it to Senior. No. The old man shook his head. Immortal Envoy Wen did not explain his intentions to this old man. He also warned this old man not to interfere in his matters. Yes, ah. Yu Tong hurriedly said. If the young lord is engaged to Fairy Hongxia, wouldn't it disrupt Lord Immortal Envoy Wen's plans? What plans does Immortal Emissary Wen have? The old man asked with interest. Yu Tong shook his head and said, I'm sorry. I don't know the specific purpose. Moreover, I don't have the permission of the Immortal Emissary, so I don't dare to talk about it. Seeing that the jade record was watertight, the old man rolled his eyes and smiled. If that's the case, how do you know that Shi Xiang's engagement with Hongxia Fairy will definitely affect Immortal Envoy Wen's arrangement? Yu Tong sneered in his heart and replied, Senior, don't try to test the Lord Immortal Emissary. The Lord Immortal Emissary is very satisfied with this cooperation with the Yi clan. If this small matter angers the Lord Immortal Emissary, all our previous efforts will be for naught. This. The old man rubbed his chin and pondered for a moment before replying. To be honest, this old man is also in a bit of a dilemma. This old man sincerely wishes to cooperate with Immortal Emissary Wen. At the same time, since Shi Xiang has made this request, it seems that he really likes Fairy Hongxia. This old man does not want to ruin a good marriage. How about this, Yu Tong? This old man will send a disciple to ask Shi Xiang and find out his true feelings. You also report this matter to Immortal Emissary Wen, and see if there's a possibility. Yu Tong thought for a moment and nodded. This junior understands. This junior will report this matter now. Once there's news, this junior will immediately come to see Senior. Thank you for your trouble. The old man smiled. Please put in a good word for this matter in front of Immortal Emissary Wen. This junior understands. Yu Tong bowed and left in a hurry. Not to mention that Yu Tong and the Yi family head were probing each other. In the Lian country, there was a mountain peak called Luqing Peak. It was an extremely ordinary mountain peak of the Utopia faction. Under the hot afternoon sun, a white-haired old man with a ruddy complexion stood on the mountain peak with his hands behind his back. He was frowning slightly as he looked at the sea of clouds in front of him. The sea of clouds was vast and boundless, and the mountain wind whistled, stirring up thousands of layers of clouds. The clouds were tangled, just like the worry in the old man's eyes. Whoosh! Suddenly, a rainbow rushed out from the mountain range in the distance and flew towards the mountain peak. Before it could get close, the rainbow stopped in midair. A tall nascent soul cultivator stood in midair and bowed. Disciple Heng Zhao has something important to report to the sect leader. The old man raised his head and revealed a hale and hearty appearance. Wasn't this the sect leader of the Utopia faction, He Ping? He Ping looked at Heng Zhao and said in a low voice, Come here. Yes. Heng Zhao nodded and moved again. He landed beside Immortal He Ping and hurriedly took out a jade slip from his arms. He handed it to Immortal He Ping and said in a low voice, Sect leader, this is the news sent back by the scouting disciples of the Utopia faction near the Kunlun Mountains. The Kunlun faction? He Ping raised his hand and took the jade slip. He did not look at it but looked at Heng Zhao. Xianjing has made a move? Heng Zhao was stunned and looked at He Ping with admiration in his eyes. He hurriedly said respectfully, Sect leader, you're really a prophet. The Kunlun faction has indeed made a move. Alas, He Ping sighed and turned to look at the sea of clouds. The three kingdoms of cultivation are not peaceful. Now, with the intervention of the immortal allies, it's getting more and more chaotic. The Utopia faction can't stay out of this. Oh, Hung Ju was startled. He seemed to have understood something. With a look of realization, he said thoughtfully, "This disciple understands. It's the work of the immortal allies. I knew it. The Fortune Gate is just a bunch of chickens and pottery dogs. How dare they besiege the Sky Patrol City? If it's the immortal allies, then it's understandable." "What did you say?" It was He Ping's turn to be puzzled. He looked at Hung Zhao strangely and asked, "The Fortune Gate's disciples besieging the Sky Patrol City was ordered by the immortal allies? Who told you that? Didn't the sect leader just say that?" Hung Zhao was stunned and asked curiously, "Did I say that?" He Ping whispered and looked at the jade slip in his hand. He did not know whether to laugh or cry. He waved the jade slip and said with a smile, "I've been racking my brains over the immortal allies. It seems that there's been a misunderstanding." He Ping checked the jade slip with his divine sense. He frowned and asked in confusion, "Why did Xianjing lead the Kunlun faction's disciples to the Sky Patrol City?" The scouting disciples said that the Kunlun faction was going to support the Fortune Gate. Hung Zhao hurriedly replied, "What a joke." He Ping sneered. "Xianjing is going to support the Fortune Gate? He and the sword cultivators are going to attack the Fortune Gate. If the Kunlun faction is going to attack the Fortune Gate, how could Xianjing make such a big fuss?" Hung Zhao shook his head and said, "If it were me, I would have gone there quietly." No. He Ping shook his head and said, "There must be something fishy. What about the immortal allies that the sect leader mentioned just now?" Hung Zhao asked tentatively. He Ping told Hung Zhao about the message from the Starfall Sky. It was exactly the same as the jade slip that Xianjing got from the Kunlun faction. Hung Zhao smiled and said, "What's there to worry about? The Rocky Border sect has been declining for the past 400 years. Even if the Utopia faction doesn't do anything, the Kunlun faction will." No. He Ping shook his head again and said, "The Utopia faction, the Kunlun faction, and the Black Sky sect can do anything, but the immortal allies can't. Moreover, I don't know what the arbitration order is. How can I act rashly? Could it be that the Kunlun faction has also received a message from the immortal allies?" Hung Zhao hesitated and said, "But what they got is different from what the Utopia faction got. Don't think too much about it." He Ping thought for a while and said, "Deputy Leader Luo's message was only for me. He didn't mention the Black Sky sect. It seems that he wants to take advantage of the situation." Well, since the Fortune Gate wants to make trouble in the Sky Patrol City, and even the Kunlun faction heard about it, the Utopia faction will also join in the fun. "Sect leader, you don't care about the message from the immortal allies?" Hung Zhao was surprised and said, "Isn't that inappropriate? The immortal allies are just the immortal allies. They don't belong to the three kingdoms of cultivation." He Ping smiled and said, "I understand. Sometimes it's good to turn a blind eye, but sometimes it's important to make a choice." "Yes, I understand." Hung Zhao nodded and said, "I'll send the message now. Let the disciples get ready. Oh, by the way." He Ping suddenly thought of something and asked, "How's your disciple? Is he still in the golden core stage?" Hung Zhao's disciple was naturally Li Zongbao. When he heard He Ping's question, a hint of sadness appeared on Hung Zhao's face and he said in a low voice, "I'm not strict enough as a teacher. I didn't teach him well and brought shame to the Black Sky sect. I've seen Zongbao's talent. It's definitely rare in the world." He Ping was puzzled and said, "Moreover, he cultivated the parting love treasure mirror. How could he?" Hung Zhao hesitated for a moment and said, "Of course this bastard's talent is extraordinary. But he provoked emotions. Not only did he force the Imperial Thunder Sect's mountain gate with the immortal piercing whip, but he also carried a crystal coffin with him, and wanted to resurrect a dead woman from a cultivation sect. It's impossible for him to cultivate the parting love treasure mirror." "Sigh, what a pity." He Ping sighed. "Zongbao is a man with deep feelings. I didn't dare to report this to the sect leader." Hung Zhao said again, "Anyway, I've given up on him. You don't have to be so heartless. He Ping tried to persuade him. Since Zongbao can't break through the bottleneck, I guess he doesn't have much time left. It's fate that you two are master and disciple. You seem to have been seen through. He looked up at Yunhai and said, I'm afraid I won't be able to see him again. He Ping nodded. When the matter in Sky Patrol City is settled, you can go out and look for him. After all, he's a disciple of the Utopia faction. Don't die in a foreign land. P.S. Fellow cultivators who like this book, please subscribe to it at Chidian. Vote for it, vote for it, vote for it, give it a tip, and Chapter 5169. Yes, I understand. Heng Zhao sniffed and his figure flashed. Without bidding farewell to Reverend He Ping, he had already rushed into the air. This child. Reverend He Ping smiled kindly and did not blame him. However, before Heng Zhao landed in the mountains, another message flew out and landed in front of him. Heng Zhao took the jade slip and read it with his divine sense. His expression changed and he flew back without hesitation. Reverend He Ping smiled and said, What's wrong? Could it be that something urgent has happened? Yes. Heng Zhao hurriedly handed the jade slip to Reverend He Ping and said, The border disciples of the Lian country sent a message, saying that an unknown nascent soul cultivator led hundreds of thousands of gold core and foundation establishment disciples to Sky Patrol City. They claim to be the disciples of the Fortune Gate. What? Hundreds of thousands of gold core disciples? The Fortune Gate? Reverend He Ping was stunned and said, How is this possible? Did the messenger make a mistake? No. Heng Zhao explained. The jade slip said that not only did this disciple see it, but the other disciples of the Meng country and the Shi country also saw it. They followed them for 2 hours. Reverend He Ping listened and read the jade slip with his divine sense. After a while, he withdrew his divine sense and said in a low voice, These Fortune Gate disciples formed a team, and there were scouting disciples nearby. They looked like they had been on the battlefield for a long time. Moreover, the scouting disciples did not make things difficult for the scouting disciples of the Utopia faction. They even told us where the Fortune Gate disciples went. Is this a trick of the Immortal Alliance? Sect leader. While Reverend He Ping was thinking, a late-stage gold core old man flew over crazily and shouted, Something big happened, something big happened. Reverend He Ping was displeased. When the old man flew over, he scolded, Fang Jin, as a gold core cultivator, you should have. Sect leader. Before Reverend He Ping could finish, the gold core cultivator named Fang Jin handed over the jade slip and said, Take a look at it first. Reverend He Ping glared at Fang Jin and took the jade slip. He read it with his divine sense and as expected, Reverend He Ping's expression changed drastically. He exclaimed, How is this possible? Immortal Alliance's deputy alliance leader Luo was killed by Xiaohua with one palm? After saying that, Immortal He Ping seemed to have understood something. He immediately ordered, Heng Zhao, quickly pass on my order. Our Utopia faction's combat-ready disciples are to form a team immediately. After 6 hours, we will set off for Sky Patrol City. Heng Zhao wailed, Lord Sect Master, what in the world is going on? Who killed Vice Alliance leader Luo? Where was he killed? What does this have to do with Sky Patrol City? We don't have much time. Let's talk as we walk. At this time, Immortal He Ping stopped talking about Fang Jin. He flew up first and said, I was wondering why Xianjing suddenly sent troops to Sentry City. It turns out that he went to flatter Immortal Xiao. It would be a waste if I don't flatter him. My Utopia faction will also flatter him. Xiaohua Master Xiao. Heng Ming flew up and asked curiously, You mean Wu Ming, the nascent soul cultivator who is on very good terms with Zongbao but has been missing for nearly 1,000 years? What a pity. Immortal He Ping sighed again. Zongbao is not in the Utopia faction. Otherwise, my Utopia faction would be one step ahead of the Kunlun sect. Heng Zhao was really at a loss. As he flew, he asked Fang Jin for more details. Since the Utopia faction and the Kunlun sect of the Lian Kingdom had heard the news and moved, how could the Xiantian sect and the Nanming sect be willing to be left behind? Since the Taoist sects of the Lian Kingdom knew, with Li Xiang and Xiongyi adding fuel to the fire, how could the Tai Ching sect, the Changbai sect, and the Celestial sect of the Ming Kingdom not know? Naturally, they also hurriedly sent out their disciples, led by their respective sect masters, and rushed to Sky Patrol City as if it was a sword battle. The Taoist sects of the Lian Kingdom and the Ming Kingdom had already set off. The Shi Kingdom was close to the water. How could they not know? Not to mention the Shanghua sect, the Qiqiao sect, the Xuanyan sect, and the Huanhua sect, who had ulterior motives. The Shanghua sect's Huayuan Mountain was not inferior to the Kunlun Mountain of the Kunlun sect. The mountain range was majestic and full of spiritual qi, far surpassing the Thunder sect's Mount Lama. At this time, on a small mountain peak deep in the mountain range, inside a cave hidden among the rocks, a nascent soul stage cultivator with delicate features was standing respectfully near the stone wall. In front of him was a huge ice crystal. This ice crystal was greenish-purple in color, and a faint chill seeped out like steam. It rose into the air and enveloped the ice crystal. Moreover, two rays of green and purple brilliance formed in the void like two rainbows. Together with the chill, they fell into the center of the ice crystal. Looking at the center of the ice crystal, a skinny old man in the late stage of the void refining realm sat cross-legged with his eyes closed. The greenish-red rainbow fell on his head. The old man's body seemed to be transparent. When the rainbow fell, it illuminated his body. The brilliance was like two pythons flowing in the old man's body. Although the young man was a nascent soul stage cultivator, he would occasionally tremble slightly, as if he was afraid of the chill. "Young Yu," the old man suddenly spoke. As he spoke, the green-red light immediately disappeared, revealing the old man's Taoist robe. The old man's voice was as cold as ice as he said, "You don't have to wait here. Quickly return to Jingyuan Hall. There are many matters to be taken care of in the Shanghua sect. Don't delay them, venerable ancestor." The young man smiled and respectfully said, "The affairs of the Shanghua sect are important, but venerable ancestor's safety is more important. Venerable ancestor may not have the Shanghua sect, but the Shanghua sect can't do without you." Previously, when Sun Yunzi passed the position of sect master to me, he had already made it clear that the Shanghua sect is the land, the solid foundation for us disciples to stand firmly in the country of Shi. Venerable ancestor is the sky, the firmament that can protect us disciples. The old man seemed to enjoy it. He actually opened his eyes. Although there was a hint of arrogance at the corner of his mouth, he still sighed. This old man is old. Many times, the will is willing but the strength is insufficient. Of course, young Yu, this old man has also told you what I told Sun Yunzi. As long as this old man is alive in this world, no one in the entire Donrain continent will dare to bully our Shanghua sect. Yes, this disciple has never doubted it. The nascent soul cultivator named Yang Yu hurriedly said respectfully. With your strength, how many people in the Donrain continent can be your opponent? It's already good enough that our Shanghua sect doesn't bully others. The old man smiled and didn't say anything else. However, the nascent soul cultivator hesitated for a moment before probing again. However, venerable ancestor, although our Shanghua sect can obtain many benefits from this war against the Imperial Thunder sect, but this disciple saw that Vice Alliance leader Luo's scheme isn't shallow. Who knows, our Shanghua sect might have taken advantage of him today and have to pay him back in the future. Oh! The old man's tone was filled with surprise. His eyes widened as he looked at the young man in surprise. He asked, "Did you think of this yourself, or did Sun Yunzi say it?" This disciple naturally thought of this. The young man hurriedly smiled apologetically. After all, Senior Sun Yunzi is cooperating with Vice Alliance leader Luo. How could he possibly say this? Not bad, not bad. The old man nodded his head in satisfaction. It's really not bad that you can see this point. This shows that Sun Yunzi has good foresight. I wouldn't dare. The young man hurriedly said humbly. As the saying goes, a wise man's 1,000 considerations may make a mistake, but a fool's 1,000 considerations may also make a mistake. This disciple has received many years of guidance from Senior Sun Yunzi. It's not a big deal that I can see a little bit of it occasionally. This isn't a little bit of a problem. The old man shook his head. According to this old man's understanding of Xuanyan sect master Yi Xian, Qiqiao sect master Wu Hongzi, and Huanhua sect master Jing Huan, they might not be able to see this point. They might even want to rely on the Immortal Alliance, and that Vice Alliance leader Luo in the future. Sai, you can't blame them. The young man bitterly smiled. Although the three sects aren't weaker than our Shanghua sect, they don't have a backer like Venerable Ancestor. After this little flattery, the old man's mouth curled up again. He said somewhat proudly, "Your words are not unreasonable. Now the high-level cultivators on the Donrain continent are only those from the Immortal Alliance. Although Kunlun sect's immortal Xianqing is the strongest, he has always regarded himself as a supreme and doesn't like to interfere in the affairs of other sections. As long as we don't provoke Kunlun sect, he definitely won't do anything. Let's take the matter of the Imperial Thunder sect as an example. Even if he knew about it, he would only defend the Immortal Alliance and denounce the Hall of Judgment as a non-existent existence. He would absolutely not stop the starfall sky." Speaking of this, the old man seemed to be tired and stopped. The purple brilliance around his body flickered slightly and surged again. The young man knew that the old man cherished his life. Perhaps it was because talking had shortened his lifespan, so he activated the cold air of the ice crystal. The young man didn't dare to disturb him and just stood there quietly. After a few minutes, the old man opened his mouth again. Other than Immortal Xianqing, it's naturally this old man and Immortal Huanhua of the Taiqing sect. If the Falling Star Sky wants to build their own forces on the Donrain continent, they definitely can't avoid the two of us. Although the Falling Star Sky looked for this old man on the surface and cooperated with my Shanghua sect, this old man knows that they will definitely look for Immortal Huanhua at the same time. This old man doesn't know what Immortal Huanhua's choice will be. But this old man knows that we don't have much time left and there aren't many opportunities to do things for the sect. Immortal Huanhua's choice won't be much different from this old man's choice. If that's the case, the young man rolled his eyes and whispered, "Venerable Ancestor and Immortal Huanhua." Of course, the young man only said this and didn't continue. The old man's lips curled into a smile again, but he didn't continue. Instead, he paused for a moment and said again, "If it was before the change in the heaven and earth spirit chi, this old man might have done something like the Falling Star Sky. But now, as long as I move, my lifespan will disappear. Who knows where I will fly to one day and fall to the ground with a thud and be smashed to pieces." The young man covered his mouth and laughed. This disciple understands. This person who fell to his death must be surnamed Luo. He definitely isn't Venerable Ancestor. Vote for it, vote for it, vote for it, give it as a reward and... Chapter 5170. Ha. The old man laughed and said proudly, "Yang Yu, you're right. How could I not know Huanhua's temper? He must be like me, hiding in the cave and watching Luo Xingtian fool around, waiting for Luo Xingtian's lifespan to pass away. We are not competing in strength but in hiding. Whoever lives the longest will be the winner. Everything that is happening now is nothing but an illusion." The old man was laughing heartily when suddenly, he frowned and looked out of the Immortal's cave. The young man noticed and said with a smile, "It must be Qi Jianghai." "That's right." The old man nodded and said, "I think it's about time. Alas, thinking about the destruction of the Imperial Thunder sect, I feel a little lonely." The old man raised his hand to take out the ice crystal, but just as he raised it, he retracted it and said, "Help me bring in the jade slip." The young man knew that the old man didn't want to use his spiritual power, so he nodded and said, "Yes, disciple obeys." When the young man walked into the cave house again, he was holding a jade slip in his hand. He respectfully handed it over and said, "Ancestor, this is the horn of victory. Disciple doesn't dare to look at it first. You can look at it first." "Ha, good." The old man smiled and took the jade slip. He hesitated for a moment and released his spiritual sense into the jade slip. However, in just an instant, the old man's smile froze. An indescribable shock and fear appeared in his eyes. He couldn't help but fly up from the ice crystal and exclaim, "Ah! This. Just as the old man said this 3 times, his body suddenly became transparent. The rainbow that was swimming like a python became disorderly, turning into thousands of tiny fragments of light that madly rushed into the old man's limbs and bones. Ancestor! The young man was shocked and quickly formed a seal with both hands. He wanted to do something, but before he could cast the seal, waves of chaotic fluctuations came out of the old man's body. The old man struggled for a bit before he fell onto the ice crystal. His body, which was like rotten wood, quickly decayed and was destroyed by the waves of purple light. How is this possible? Before the old man died, he still muttered in disbelief. His eyes that were about to be destroyed looked at the jade slip in front of him with unwillingness. It was as if the jade slip contained shocking information. This late void refinement realm old man was scared to death by the information in the jade slip. Pa! The jade slip landed on the ice crystal. The old man's body that had turned to ash slowly floated down and covered the jade slip. It was as if he wanted to cover up the information in the jade slip. How is this possible? The young man named Yang Yu was dumbfounded. He really didn't expect that the old man he called Firmament of the Splendid Sect, who was one of the few void refinement realm experts in the Dawn Rain continent, would actually be scared to death by the information in the jade slip. The young man stretched out his hand, wanting to pick up the jade slip, but he was afraid that there was something inside that he could not bear. However, after pondering for a moment, he looked at the ice crystal, and then looked at the green-purple brilliance. With a wave of his hand, he took the jade slip into his hand. After taking a deep breath, he slowly probed it with his divine sense. Even though he was already prepared, the information inside still left him dumbfounded on the spot. His expression was unusually ashen. After a long while, he lost his composure and muttered in a low voice, "How is this possible?" Xiao Hua came back and crushed Luo Xingtian, and another spirit-severing cultivator to death. Sun Yunzi was forced to commit suicide. Moreover, Xiao Hua brought hundreds of thousands of Fortune Gate disciples who were at least in the Gold Core realm, and killed more than half of the disciples of the 4 sects. Qi Jianghai, Daoist Master Withered Leaf, and Fairy Poyu died, and only Fairy Baihua escaped with serious injuries? This isn't a dream, right? However, the young man looked at the empty ice crystal and smiled bitterly. But if it wasn't for this terrifying information, how could the old ancestor, who always cherishes his life, be scared to death for no reason? What should we do? Since Xiao Hua protected the Imperial Thunder Sect, since he killed the disciples of the 4 sects, since he killed Luo Xingtian, how could he let the 4 sects who forced the Imperial Thunder Sect go? Speaking of this, the young man suddenly thought of something. He hurriedly picked up the jade slip and looked at it. His eyes turned rapidly, and he muttered to himself, "It's not that Xiao Hua can't kill Fairy Baihua, and it's not that he can't kill all the disciples of the 4 sects, but he sent the Fortune Gate disciples to the Sky Patrol City? Oh, I understand, it's Zhonghaoren's Fortune Gate." At this time, the young man's face was filled with joy, and he almost clapped his hands and said, "Great! I originally thought that this was a joke. Since Daoist Master Xiao went to the Sky Patrol City in anger, how can I not go? Instead of waiting in Jingyuan Hall for Daoist Master Xiao to come to punish me, why don't I take the initiative to apologize? I don't know anything, it's all Qi Jianghai's fault. I am just guilty of not being strict enough." With that, the young man did not dare to waste any time. He took the jade slip and rushed out of the cave, turning into a rainbow. In less than half a day, many disciples of the Profound Flower sect dressed in battle armor flew out of the Profound Flower mountain range and hurriedly flew to the Sky Patrol City. Needless to say, the late spatial refinement realm old man was naturally the Profound Flower sect's Jifengzi, who was also the deputy alliance leader of the Immortal Union. The young man was the Profound Flower sect's sect leader, Daoist Master Yang Yu. Since Daoist Master Yang Yu knew how to apologize, how could the Xuanyan School's sect leader, Daoist Master Yi Xian, Qiqiao sect's sect leader, Wu Hongzi, and Daoist Master Jing Huan not know? The country of Xi immediately became lively. Many disciples went out to beg for forgiveness. Looking at the northern part of the state of Shi, the Fortune Gate's disciples formed a torrent, covering the sky. Every place they passed by, there were cultivators who flew away like birds startled by the twang of a bow. This was because they had never seen such an iron army with such momentum and battle intent. Naturally, the Sky Patrol City was unaware of the commotion in the state of Shi. Inside the sword room, the old man looked at Yu Tong's departing figure and sneered. This is beyond this old man's expectations. This fairy Wuxia actually has an innate spirit physique. If this old man wasn't curious about why a mortal emissary wanted fairy Wuxia to come here, I would have secretly used my Yi family's secret technique to investigate. Since you all don't want to tell me your purpose, then don't blame this old man for probing. Of course, if what you want is not fairy Wuxia's innate spirit physique, then this old man will benefit from it. While the old man was talking to himself, Shua, a sword light emerged from the void and flew towards the old man like a meteor. The old man reached out and caught it. It was a flying sword message. After the old man read it, he frowned and asked curiously, why did Qin Jing suddenly send this old man a message to come out of the Sky Patrol City? Doesn't he know that this is a crucial moment, and there can't be any mistakes? If I'm discovered by the Mountain Patrol Sword Sect, won't there be more twists and turns? Speaking of this, the old man laughed. Haha, since there are twists and turns in my cooperation with a mortal emissary one, how can my cooperation with Sword Cultivator be smooth sailing? Forget it, this old man will make a trip. Then, the sword light around the old man quickly converged and the brilliance in the sword room slowly disappeared. After half a cup of tea's time, the old man, who had transformed into an illusory swordsman, flew out of the Sky Patrol City with several attendants and rushed into the night sky in the northwest direction of the city. The northwest direction of the Sky Patrol City was the original location of the Sword Tomb. Since Xiaohua destroyed the Sword Tomb when he condensed his core in the Sword Tomb 700 years ago, the Sword Tomb no longer existed, and there was no natural barrier from the Huan country to the Sky Patrol City. However, the strange thing was that after the Sword Tomb disappeared for 100 years, some subtle celestial phenomena began to appear in the vicinity of the Sword Tomb, forming a faintly discernible barrier. These celestial phenomena changed very slowly, and did not take shape for hundreds of years. It was far less powerful than the previous Sword Tomb, but after all, there was a trend. If 1,000 years were not enough, another Sword Tomb was bound to appear after 10,000 years, or even 100,000 years. Therefore, the sword cultivators of the Huan country sent a large number of people to investigate the nearby area, trying to find the source of the celestial phenomena. However, after decades, no sword sect could find the cause. The sword cultivators of the Huan country had no choice but to attribute all of this to the changes of heaven and earth and give up the idea of finding the source. Of course, the Yi clan master was not going to the Sword Tomb. After flying hundreds of miles away from the Sky Patrol City, he stopped and released his divine sense to take a look. He raised his hand and sent the messenger flying sword that he had previously received into the air. The flying sword flew like a spirit snake to a mountain range. A moment later, two valiant second-grade sword transformation swordsmen flew out of the mountain range. When the two swordsmen landed in front of the Yi clan ancestor, they bowed and saluted. Juniors Qin Jing and Cheng Pai greet Ancestor Yi. Two sword friends, please rise. The old man did not dare to neglect, and hurriedly raised his hand to help the two up. He said, "May I know what urgent matter has called this old man out of the Sky Patrol City?" The tall man with the red face was the Void Heaven Sword School's Qin Jing. He looked at the bright sword sect's Cheng Pai and said with a wry smile, "Friend Cheng Pai, why don't you explain this matter?" Ancestor Yi. Cheng Pai pondered for a moment and said, "The plan we discussed earlier has some sudden changes. Juniors do not dare to act rashly, so we asked Ancestor Yi to come out of the city and discuss it with us." "What changes?" The Yi clan master frowned and asked curiously. "As far as this old man knows, the Fortune Gate's disciples from all over the 3 countries have gathered in the Sky Patrol City. However, due to our intentional obstruction, this news did not reach the Mountain Patrol Sword Sect's ears. Since the Mountain Patrol Sword Sect does not know, the Flying Feather Sect and Quilted Mountain Sect are even more unlikely to know. What changes can there be? Ahem. Chung Pai coughed awkwardly and said in a low voice. It's like this. Unfortunately, before he could finish speaking, a sword cry rang out from the mountain range where Chung Pai and the others had flown out. This sword cry was like a dragon's roar, shaking the surrounding wilderness. Following this sword cry, a scarlet sword light soared into the sky like a flying dragon, rushing straight into the snowy night. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, vote for it, vote for it, vote for it, give it a tip, and Chapter 5171. Damn it. Seeing such a strange yet powerful sword shadow, how could the Yi clan master not know what the change that Chung Pai was talking about was? He cursed softly. This sword momentum. Won't the mountain patrolling sword sect in the Sky Patrol City discover it? If the mountain patrolling sword sect, flying feather sect, and quilted mountain sect are all here, what we have been planning for a long time, we don't have to do any more. Not waiting for the Yi clan head to finish his words, Shua. That soaring sword light suddenly converged. It was really like a dragon swinging its tail in midair, flying towards the Yi clan head and the others. Wherever the sword light passed, the previously arrogant sword sound was forcefully converged, transforming into a sharp whistling sound that pierced towards the Yi clan head. Senior Lingjian? The Yi clan master's expression changed greatly. He glanced at Chung Pai and Qin Jing, and finally knew why they were in a dilemma. After the crimson sword light, there was another sword light that was much dimmer. When the two sword lights flew in front of the Yi clan master, and the rest who were standing respectfully, the sword light converged rapidly, and two sword cultivators appeared from the sword light. The first one gradually turned into the appearance of an old man. The old man's face was crimson red, and his gaze was like a sword. When his eyes turned slightly, it was as if he wanted to see through the Yi clan master's body. The one behind him also had a crimson face, but he was slightly younger, and looked like a middle-aged man. The Yi clan master, who was standing respectfully, bowed and said, Greetings, Seniors Wu Lingjian. This old man was the previous sword master of the Soaring Wind Sword sect, Zhuo Ming. Yi Yaoting. Zhuo Ming looked coldly at the Yi clan master. His tone was no longer like the sword sound of the sword transformation realm, but like a cool breeze. You're really bold. How dare you plot against the Sky Patrol City of the sword cultivators? Junior doesn't dare. The Yi clan master named Yi Yaotian did not dare to stand up. He lowered his head and said, Junior's Yi clan is also in Huan country. I dare not betray my clan. I'm just planning for a more secure Sky Patrol City for the sword cultivators. Seeing that Yi Yaotian's expression was normal, Zhuo Ming smiled and said, You're right. Back then, I joined forces with Cheng Minghua of the Bright Sword sect, Ruotian of the Skyscraper Sword sect, Qilian Dai of the Black Phoenix Sword sect, and Chong Taishu of the Void Heaven Sword sect to set up the Heaven One Green Light Sword formation to take back the Sky Patrol City from the Dao cultivators. However, not only did the Dao cultivators of my Hung country not value the great contribution of the Five Sword sect, they also did not value the defense of the Sky Patrol City. The five great sword sects have not been in control of the Sky Patrol City for as long as the Flying Feather sect and the Quilted Mountain sect. What's more, the defense of the Sky Patrol City is practically non-existent now. There's no difference when Dao cultivators enter the Sky Patrol City. Indeed. Yi Yaotian hurriedly smiled and said, I just can't stand the way those weapon cultivators and beast cultivators do things. They think that they are the masters of Sky Patrol City just because they are in charge of it. My Yi clan asked them to bend the rules for some matters, but they ignored us and showed no mercy at all. Zhuo Ming nodded and said, It's time to teach them a lesson. We can also take advantage of this opportunity to reorganize the order of the Sky Patrol City. If I were still the sword master of the Soaring Wind Sword sect, you wouldn't have to worry about this. I would have already made arrangements. However, I don't care about the affairs of the sword sect now, so it's not easy to do these things. I'm very gratified that you all have such intentions. How can the Soaring Wind Sword sect miss out on such an opportunity? Yes. Yi Yaotian hurriedly echoed. The Soaring Wind Sword Sect is one of the 5 great sword sects that set up the Heaven Azure Light Sword formation. I also wanted to contact the Sword Master of your sword sect, but there are only the Mountain Patrol Sword Sect, the Flying Feather Sect, and the Quilted Mountain Sect in the Sky Patrol City. Only my Yi clan, the Void Heaven Sword School, and the Bright Sword Sect can handle it. That's why I didn't visit your sword sect. Now that Senior is here, it's the will of heaven, and it's also in line with my previous thoughts. I implore Senior to extend a hand and take care of the chaos in the Sky Patrol City. I also hope Senior can support us after the changes in the Sky Patrol City. Ha ha ha. Zhuoming laughed and raised his hand to point at the swordsman next to him and said, "This is Ling Jiju of the Soaring Wind Sword Sect. I'll leave the matters here to him. You all can plan this matter freely. No matter what happens, no matter what waves it causes in the Hung Nation and the 3 kingdoms, I'll bear it for you." Zhuoming emphasized the 3 kingdoms. How could Yi Yaotian not know that Zhuoming was referring to the benefits of the Fortune Gate? He hurriedly replied, "Senior, please don't worry. How can I let the sword friends of the Soaring Wind Sword Sect do it for nothing? Not to mention that the order of the Sky Patrol City will be set by Senior, and the others in the future. Even the Fortune Gate will be taught a lesson by Ling Jianyu." Zhuoming smiled slightly and didn't say anything more. He only left a sentence, "Since that's the case, I'm relieved. You all can discuss it slowly." After saying that, Zhuoming's figure flickered and turned into a sword. But at this time, he suddenly raised his head and looked to the west. Seeing that the 3 of them were scared witless by Zhuoming's sword intent, Yi Yaotian took the opportunity to say in a low voice, "3 friends, quickly come and kowtow to my Hung Nation's Zhuoming, Spirit Sword School." Spirit Sword School Senior? The 3 disciples of Heavenly Demon Sect turned pale with fright and hurriedly bowed. They said, "We are Yu Zhongkui, Vice Sect Leader of the 4th Heavenly Demon Sect, Yang Ji, Vice Sect Leader of the 6th Heavenly Demon Sect, and Yao Qingxi, Vice Sect Leader of the 8th Heavenly Demon Sect. Greet Senior Zhua. You are just Dao cultivators in the Golden Core realm. How dare you call yourself Sect Leader?" Zhuoming sneered, as if he didn't care to talk to the 3 disciples of Heavenly Demon Sect. He turned into sword light and rushed towards the direction of the sword catacomb, quickly disappearing into the night sky. Yi Yaotian and the others did not dare to be negligent and respectfully sent them off. When they raised their heads, the bitterness on Yi Yaotian's face had already disappeared. He smiled at the 3 Heavenly Demon Sect Vice Sect Masters who were confused and did not know what was going on. "Vice Sect Masters, please rise. Left Lingjian has already left." Clan Leader Yi. Yang Ji felt that the cold sword light around him didn't disappear much. He lowered his voice and said, What is going on?" Yi Yaotian glanced at Ling Jiju, raised his hand and introduced, Come, let me introduce Ling Jiju from the Ling Feng Sword Sect to you 3 Dao friends. I, Ling Jiju, pay my respects to the 3 Vice Sect Leaders." Ling Jiju was already a 2nd-grade sword transformation realm cultivator. Naturally, he didn't take the 3 Vice Sect Leaders of Heavenly Demon Sect seriously. He cupped his fists and answered proudly, We don't dare. Yang Ji and the others saw this. Although Yi Yaotian didn't explain, they already understood what was going on. They hurriedly bowed and said, "Greetings to Senior Ling. 3 Vice Sect Leaders, please rise." Ling Jiju smiled and said, "I have been sent by Spirit Sword School to trouble the 3 of you." When Ling Jiju mentioned Zhuoming, the 3 Vice Sect Leaders of Heavenly Demon Sect immediately thought of the sword light Ling Jiju just now. A shiver involuntarily appeared on the surface of their bodies, so cold that it seeped into their bones. Yi Yaotian took the opportunity to repeat Zhuoming's words. How would the 3 Vice Sect Leaders of Heavenly Demon Sect dare to disobey? They nodded their heads like chicks pecking at rice. After Yi Yaotian finished speaking, he said to Ling Jiju, "Dao friend Ling, time is of the essence. How about we discuss how to deal with the Fortune Gate that is about to arrive?" Ling Jiju hurriedly replied, "Patriarch Yi is too polite. There is no need to discuss." After all, the Yi clan, Void Heaven Sword School, and Bright Sword Sect have been planning this for a long time. My High Wind Sword sect was the last to join. I don't know much about the previous situation, so I don't dare to speak casually. I'm afraid that I'll disrupt the arrangements of the 3 sword friends and the 3 vice sect leaders. My High Wind Sword sect has already mobilized 30% of our disciples to the snowy plains. These disciples are completely under the command of the 6 of you. Moreover, in terms of dealing with the aftermath, my sword ancestor has also instructed us to prioritize the interests of the 4 clans. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, vote for it, vote for it, vote for it, donate, and you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.